morning, everybody. How are you? Hope you guys are having a great morning. So, I'm waking up this morning and I got a very busy day for the rest of the day, but I do have some time this morning. I went to the channel Sam at Every Size. I love Sam's videos because they're always so full of information, and I love her delivery. She is so respectful of these subjects that she talks about, and she does a lot of homework and a lot of research. So I posted the link for the video in the chat, and I hope that all of you sub up to her channel and give her a like and leave a comment because she absolutely deserves it. So I was watching the video this morning and I've already got so many thoughts about the Paradise House and the documentary. And as I was watching Sam's video, and I've known this for a minute, but everything that Sam was saying this morning, it's so obvious what's going on at Paradise. Stefan was using the body positivity idea and subject to lure women into the house. And it's not just a house for bigger women. It's a content house, straight up. It's a house where he could have women there all the time. And while they're living there, while they're working for him, he's making content of all kinds. He's got a 24/7 live feed. I don't know where that's broadcasting at. It could be across one website or perhaps other websites. He's taking pictures and using them on TikTok, using them on Instagram to promote his accounts to make money there. But also the disturbing fact that he was actually inviting men to the house for fetish squashing sessions by the ladies. So how exactly is this a paradise for bigger women? As soon as they show up, they're being put to work. They're providing adult content for him, which I'm sure he's profiting off of. They are cooking, they're cleaning, they are working for his business. They're being put to work almost as soon as they walk in the door. So why not advertise Paradise as an adult content house then, Stefan? Why not tell the truth and just tell these women exactly what they're walking into and what you're looking for before they arrive? Why bill it as something else entirely? I mean, if you're going to do it, just be honest about it. But why put out a false image of something when that's obviously not the case? You know, you are a businessman and you're looking to make money, and the Paradise House is there to make you money in every way possible. So not exactly a safe environment for the ladies, I would think, because even just what he's looking for, what is he looking for in one of the women that comes to the house? What are the criteria? He's looking for someone who's much younger than himself. He's looking for 20-something-year-olds. He wants you to be a certain height. He wants you to be a certain weight. Again, content house. You're not just opening the doors and saying, come on in, everybody. Everybody's welcome. You're looking for certain criteria. It's kind of on the same idea of, say, if you had a modeling agency, you're looking for certain models, you're looking for certain looks in models. And then when they reach a place where they can't make you money anymore, you toss them out. And then you bring new ones in. So there's a continuous machine of bringing people in that you think will make you the most money. And then when they can't make you money anymore, such in the case of women who get sick or they get too big, then they're just tossed out in the cold. So the video that Sam made, very informative. I've got a lot of thoughts about it. Just sitting here shaking my head. Yeah, booger sighting. She had the zoomies this morning. Booger. She had the zoomies this morning. It's your booger. You had the zoomies this morning, didn't you? You did. So I've got my thoughts. So this will not mostly be about foodie beauty. Like, she's going to be mentioned. Speaking of foodie, I was watching last night Chantal was still talking about the Paradise House, that could be for a couple of reasons. First reason, because behind the scenes, I feel, my opinion, that Stefan is supporting her. I believe he's throwing her some money. He could be in her chat under a different name, just tossing her money because she was making a lot of money last night. And the Lakma fairy suddenly appeared. She got these things called croffles. I wonder who paid for that. Yeah, I did see that CC Suarez did drop a long video. We might just watch that after. I haven't seen that yet. I just saw Samateverysize it posted. But they're going to offer, well, that and the rest of them. She's got a whole entire group of people that they see that she's sick and they're going in for the KILL, in my opinion. Like they're saying, like, we're in the final, I guess, months. So let's just up our game and let's just put it into hyperdrive. Writer is Stefan. I don't know if he is. I know it's somebody tossing her money. It's long and detailed. Well, I'll take a look at it, but I want to really get into Sam's video because I just watching the first few minutes of them, like, damn, she did so much homework. Loving it. So y'all, please check out Samateverysize. Again, love the way she does everything. She's very informative. She's extremely respectful. She doesn't sensationalize everything. Isn't she too old for him? Yes, she is, Kitty. By Stefan's criteria for the house, Chantal is aged out. She's too old. He likes women that are tall, and Foodie is 5 feet tall. And she's also in very bad health. He likes for his bigger ladies to be mobile, and she's not mobile. But let's think of it from this angle. There are criteria for women that he features in the live streams that are in the house, but there might be different criteria for people that he's working with, that he's getting private adult content from, that he's selling privately. Chantal could qualify for that. If she is one of those that she will do anything, she might do kinks that women in the house don't want to do or can't do. And she's like, I'll do it. He might be employing her somewhere. I mean, there's always the possibility of the dark web or some other website, and that's what she might be perfect for. She might have a different look and a different attitude, and knowing Stefan, he's probably marketing her in different places. I have heard that a lot of adult content gets sold on things like Telegram, so he might be marketing her there. Do you know if Wobbles broke? Have no idea. Yeah, thank you, Suzanne. Even her aunt is allowing her to eat maple syrup lollipops. Everyone around her is horrible. Correct. And that whole video that she did with the aunt, you can't tell me that the aunt wasn't informed about the content that Foodie was doing. And she was also in on it. And that's why I was so disgusted. I was like, really? Her own family? But then again, look at her family. So what's that? She also encourages other women to do what she does. Sorry to jump in, but that's valuable of itself to people like Stefan. Right. I mean, just the whole dynamic of the Pearadise house. He doesn't just have one woman living there. He's got several women. And I'm sure some of you have heard of programs like Big Brother, correct? You've got the Big Brother house. You've got lots of people living together, men and women. What always happens in a situation like that? When you've got groups of people living together, they form little cliques. Some people get along, some people do not get along, and they sometimes clash with each other. Imagine a house full of women where they're all vying for the attention of one man, for the favoritism of one man. And some of those women might be entering the house feeling very insecure, very young, very vulnerable. Imagine how the dynamics could explode in a situation like that. Like, it's just like he's bringing the younger women in for a reason. You know, he's using other women to lure them there. And then once they get there, the women that have been there the longest, they are the inner circle. And then there's people outside the inner circle. You got all these politics and drama going on at the same time. So it's a recipe for disaster. So we're going to get into this documentary. I wanted to wait a little longer, but I don't have all day. So I have to do this now. So apologies to Samateverysize, but you did a fantastic video. Before we get into that, though, I would like to get into some of the comments for the video, because there were some amazing comments already. Okay, this comment is from It's the Unknown No, saying, I just wanted to comment on the woman who said that she'd seen the footage and it was consensual. Fight or flight, like most studies, was based on men's stress responses. Now we're finally studying women. We know that they usually fawn or tend and befriend in order to survive, SA. So if you're watching that, feeling upset because it would look like you didn't fight back, then I would like you to know that your instinct in that moment was the right one, as you were alive to read this. Different people handle different situations differently. There is the fight or flight in a situation where you feel uncomfortable or you're in danger, but the friend and tend, that could be another one. So every person gets triggered differently and they handle things differently. Candisha Caudil says, one thing we have to remember is that it's basically a cult. And one thing about being involved in a cult, it is very hard to leave. We have to remember that these girls are financially, mentally, and physically involved in this. And to leave means they would feel like they are losing a huge part of their identities. So if this is a content house, Pearadise is, and Stefan has different criteria that he's looking for women to live at the house for, say, a certain amount of time until they reach a certain age. And then once you reach that certain age, you're too old. Why is there no blueprint put out there of once you get to a certain age, this is what's going to happen to you? Where is the aftercare? Why are they not told when they get into the house, well, this is the criteria. Once you reach the age of 29, you got to go. Why is there no, this something put aside for the women so that they have a life after Pearadise? They're going to go into the house and that is their place of living. If they live there full time, they're going to do content from morning till night. They're going to cook. They're going to clean. When it's all over, where do they go? What do they do? He says he cares about the women, but you only care about them while they're at the house, while they're producing content for you, while they're making money for you. But what about when they're gone? Do you care about them when they're gone and when they're not making you money? What's the plan then for them? So while they're at Pearadise and you're able to make money, you care. But after they're gone, you don't care about them anymore? Doesn't sound like a very caring individual to me. Let's see. I'm looking for the next comment. And I agree with this comment too. Anna Claire says, I just want to say once again that you are a formidable journalist. The way you are so respectful towards the victims while also shedding light on the dangers of this way of life is admirable. Thank you for doing the work and watching this ghoul of a guy so the rest of us can be spared. Agreed. Big applause to Samateverysize for the work that she does, for the research, and the way that she approaches everything. And I love this comment. Amy Elio says, I hope that everyone understands what Stefan's actual gig, goal, business model, and scam is. ID shows it without actually saying it. He has a huge black market feederism business literally off the backs of these women that he's selling. The TikTok account is a farce that sells the illusion of Stefan wants you to believe he's doing. Now we know he's not. It's a fast track to the darkest hole you could ever be in. on the road to your grave. Beyond dangerous and disgusting in every way. I'm so glad these survivors got out. Yep. As adults, they probably should try to figure that out. You know, I respectfully and politely say this, loose cannon, this is not an attack. I don't see how Stefan is being truthful and upfront with who he is and what he's doing. If these women, if they've had many years of being vulnerable and insecure and feeling like they don't belong, and then someone like Stefan is putting it out there, I've got this house that you can move into and you will feel comfortable. There'll be other women that are a lot like you. You know, that's music to their ears. They just want to belong. Everybody in the world wants to belong somewhere. They want a sense of community and feeling cared about and being seen and being heard. And here's Stefan putting this idea out there of like, you found what you're looking for. This is your community. You know, you can belong here. No one will put you down. No one will bully you. You'll be accepted. And not being accepted might be something that they've been looking for all their lives. So they're being sold this bill of goods of you'll be accepted here and there'll be a lot of love and blah, blah, blah. And if he put on the Pearadise website or pages, this is an adult content house. And when you come here, you'll be expected to work for me all the time. There'll be cameras rolling. I'm going to get all kinds of content from you. Like those cameras are never going to be off. You're basically a cam model all the time. I'll have those cameras running all the time. And on top of that, you'll also be expected to do adult content in person with unknown clients. I don't know if many women would be showing up to that house. I think he says what he has to say to get their attention and get them to come to the house. And then later on, things are revealed. Yep. He's running a full-on brothel when he's done with the girls. They don't have much choice except to do what Foodie does. Yeah, so he brings them to the house, and the ones who decide to stay, they stay at the house, but it's not for free and it's not for nothing. He doesn't just have the house and says, hey, do what you want all day long. Do what you like. They are literally put to work. And I don't think that's right. Zingcat says, watching this, I really did wish that there were some enterprising women who liked all the camaraderie, the friendships or more with each other, the support, the shared household duties, and made their own space together. All of it being reliant on a super weirdo who wasn't able to even appear normal when outsiders interviewed him just makes me so sad for everyone who is hurt by this space. Yeah, you know what? I don't think the ladies should be doing the feedy content. But if they wanted to do the adult content, I don't see why they don't just get a space for themselves away from Stefan. I mean, and just do it that way. Why stay in the house? Why give him money? Why benefit him? Why work for him? Ladies, get together and do it your damn selves. You don't need him. He needs you, obviously. Boo Squeezy says, how can anyone deny that he is a predator who preys on young, insecure, vulnerable women who are desperate for love and acceptance? Some of them had no family and nowhere to go. 2 of them were homeless when Stefan found them. He didn't welcome them out of kindness. He feels he bought them, that he owned them. And for those of you saying otherwise, Foodie Beauty and Company, getting in a hot tub is not giving consent for sex. I can't believe I'm having to explain that, especially to women. Attitudes like that are the reasons some victims don't come forward. Remember what I talked about before about being in survival mode? So these women that Stefan is finding, 2 of them that came into the house were homeless. Now imagine if you were homeless and you had nowhere to go. And here is a person opening up their home to you. You are essentially in survival mode. You're thinking of your survival. What do I have to do to survive? What do I have to do to have a home? I don't have one. I may not have a way to get one right now. So if somebody's coming to you and saying, hey, I'll open up my home to you, but here's the price you pay. You have to work for me. You have to clean for me. You have to allow me to do adult content for you. If you have nothing, you're just grateful for anything that gives you a scrap of hope and puts walls around you to make yourself feel safe. So if somebody's opening up their home to you, you're going to feel thankful, and you'll do whatever it is that person is asking you to do just to have a freaking home. Yeah, they're telling you everything you want to hear. I'll give you a home, and you don't care the conditions that you live in as long as you get to live somewhere. Let's see. Ace says, to me, Stefan definitely knew the documentary would grill him, but he's probably so narcissistic he thought he would be easier to able to control the narrative. A lot of narcs put themselves in bad situations because they think they are smarter than they truly are. Well, the very last episode, when the interview was over and he got up out of the chair and he was talking to someone, the way he was talking about the women was so incredibly telling. It was. He just calling women sluts and whores and hoeing it up. I'm like, wow, bro, you didn't even wait till you walked out of the room to say that stuff. You said it while the cameras were still on. That was the real Stefan. That was the real him jumping out of his skin for a minute. Hello, did these girls make money in the house? If so, how much did they make? You know what, Radioactive? I do not know how much money they made. I know they made money for Stefan. There was one woman, I believe it was in episode 3, where she said she gave her money to Stefan. The money that she did make, she gave it to him. This man who's got a mansion and he's got tons of money from making a specific part for convertibles, for the top to go up and down. He's got tons of money. So he has no reason to ask these women for their money at all. And if there's a business model in place of let's bring them in young and get all that we can, and then around 28, 29 years old, tell them that they're too old to work, why not have them put that money into like a savings account or something, so when it's time to go, they've got money so they can get out and make their own way. No, you're just going to suck them dry. And then once they reach a certain age, they're getting too sick because you're encouraging these women to get big. And you know what's going to happen. You toss them out and say goodbye, later. Yep. I think once they stay there a while, that they feel like they owe him back rent and et cetera for eternity. Yeah, indentured servitude, it's a thing. Like there's some sort of a debt, or you feel like there is a debt and you keep paying and it never completely goes away. I'm sure they pay for everything. I'm sure the money that they make for Stefan with the live streams, the constant live streams, the adult content probably pays the mortgage on that freaking mansion. They're paying the mortgage. They're paying the rent on that mansion. He isn't. Cheap bastard. Using them to pay for everything. Chronically Amused says, if Stefan didn't want children, he needed to get a vasectomy or wear an actual condom. Facts. The STIs that are spreading is also super concerning. This man is a disgusting predator and he needs to be investigated. These women were violated. He is the worst of the people who do things like this. He's hiding in plain sight. Well, he's not hiding anymore. Yeah, they have to bring their own food. So what exactly was he paying for? I would like to know what he pays for versus what these women are paying for. If they're paying for basically the majority of everything in the house, why do they need him? to promote them on social media, I'm sure they could figure it out. They could all get together, get their own house, and cut him out of the deal and say, screw this guy. We can make our own content house. And we don't have to worry about being tossed out of a house because we're too old. Just, if you're going to do it for yourself. Don't let somebody else benefit. You know, why? He needs you. You don't need him. Uh-oh. Maddie says, I've actually met Stefan before, but I didn't realize until now. This was 2019. My best friend and I were in Vegas. She was in the adult industry, and she said we were going to meet up with someone from work. He gave us some party favors, but lied about what it was. Not that it matters, because we should have never taken anything, especially from a stranger. But I think it's clear we were not in a good place in life when this happened. After that night, my bestie became a full-blown Coca-Cola addict. I'm so sorry. She was not living by March 2020. I am so sorry, Maddie. Wow. I can't help but wonder if she were still alive. It's very likely. Would she have been a part of this house? So, Stefan, you're all about that party favor life, are you? Are you encouraging the ladies in your house to do party favors? So not only are you a pimp, you bastard, and taking money from the women, you're encouraging them to be on substances too? Wow, you're a real piece of work. Dirtbag. Boo Squeezy says, I caught that when he dared to say the women don't have to worry about being watched here while there are cameras recording every move they make. And of course he lied about not having one in the bedroom, but the producer called him out. They were smart enough to realize his narc love of attention and his raging persecution complex would doubtless result in his telling on himself if they just let him talk. That's always the character flaw of narcs. They think they're so above everybody, and they think they're so much smarter than everyone. They talk too much. They don't bother trying to hide anything. They're not smart enough to hide anything. They just talk because they figure the rest of the world will not figure them out. Guess what? You got figured out. So let's review, chat. Not only is he getting feeder content 24/7 from these women, but there also might be a possibility that he's filming activities in the bedroom. That's more adult content. I wonder where he's posting that content. Is it in places that these women are aware, or places where they're not aware, like say on the dark web? If he's got a camera already set up in the bedroom, and if drinking and whatever else is encouraged in the house, there might be stuff going on in that bedroom while these ladies are intoxicated or under the influence, and there's footage of all of it. And that might be profitable for Stefan. Yeah, he strikes me as someone that if he can make money off of something one way, he's probably got 20 ways to do it. And he knows all 20 ways, and he's getting footage of every single one of them. There are cameras everywhere, according to some of the women. I have heard that there were no cameras in the bathroom. I don't think that he can put cameras in the bathroom. That would be a privacy violation. Yeah, plus he can blackmail them. Yep. I think there was a segment where he said he'd do content for OnlyFans with Cass. I'm sure he's got all kinds of accounts. There are public accounts where he can make money, and I'm sure there are other accounts like on the black market or through private dealers that pay more for certain things. And I'm going to reveal something kind of personal. This was many, many years ago. I happened to work at a strip club where the owner of the club, he made a deal with a website, and they had cameras all over the place inside the club, dressing room, main. They didn't have cameras in the main pit area. That would violate the privacy of the people that were going to the club. But there were cameras in the dressing room. But where there were not cameras were the bathrooms. I don't think you're allowed to have cameras in the bathrooms. That's far too personal. And isn't it funny that Stefan is doing the exact same thing? There's cameras in that house for a reason. They're running all the time for a reason. I don't think those are security cameras. I think those are live feed cameras that connect somewhere. And he's making money off that live feed. He's been making money off that live feed. That's why the cameras have to stay on all the time. Now let's see. Amy says, I don't disagree that anyone who eats themselves to 500, 600 pounds is mentally unwell, depressed, most likely has dealt with trauma in childhood and turned to food to cope. That's the point. Stefan knows that. They didn't get to this weight overnight. They have been severely overweight their whole lives and have zero self-esteem. Along comes Stefan in Pearadise. Sam is exactly right in her description here. It doesn't matter how young or old you are. If you're hearing that you're beautiful for the first time, getting attention from someone, feeling welcomed into a community like yourself, it's easy to fall into. This is why Pearadise is compared to a cult so often. The sex therapist spoke about the dopamine addiction that comes with the attention these women get from the feeders too. Layer in the money, the feeling of acceptance and validation, and you quickly have an addiction that is very difficult to overcome, as he explains. This is the world Stefan brings them into quickly. And I can imagine that when someone invites you to come stay at their mansion, seemingly to provide you with a life you have never known, if he gets handsy and makes moves immediately, you would feel tremendous pressure, trapped. You probably move his hands and he just ignores that. He expects you to pay back his generosity. He didn't say it, but he does. This may be difficult to imagine, but he takes advantage of them from the moment they arrive. He doesn't care how they feel. Yes, they are adult women, but not all of these situations are okay. Not even close. The most shocking thing I believe he said was how his twins were conceived without his consent, and he doesn't have a relationship with them today for his mental health. This shows his true identity more than anything else in this documentary. He's deplorable. I hope their mother is getting every bit of child support the law will allow. I hope she's taking him to the cleaners, period. Get that money. Get all that money. Take all of it. Leave him outside. And let's see. And that's just some of the comments, and I just wanted to feature those comments. So are y'all ready to get into the documentary itself? I'm sure Sam's video. Y'all ready? I've got so many thoughts. I'm like, I got to sit down with my coffee and share my thoughts with y'all. So again, this is Samateverysize. I'm posting the link in the chat. Please sub up to her. Give her a like. Leave a comment, let her know like this was a really, really well done video. She's just an amazing content creator. Hello, damn Kate. So let's get into it, y'all.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Sam and I make weekly videos where I'm typically dissecting internet nonsense. It's kind of become my niche. I really enjoy digging into some things that are illogical, nonsensical. I like to look at the discrepancies between words and actions, especially when it comes to influencers here on the internet. But today I'm struggling because I don't feel like I should be calling this video topic nonsense. It's a lot more serious in nature, and if you've already clicked on it, you are well aware that it's about Stefan Wilhelmy, the Pearadise House, and also Ziamara the Dreamer.
Okay, before we get started and we get deep into this, something interesting. Subfolder to the main folder. So I'm sure you guys have heard of the Locale Universe, LCU. When the Pearadise documentary was going to drop on the 11th, was it 10th or 11th? But Fupa Cheese from the LCU and Tech Protect, they were supposed to go to the Pearadise House and watch the documentary inside the Pearadise House Fupa Cheese did not go. Tech Protect did go, did spend time around Stefan. So they streamed that, the documentary being aired at the Pearadise House, and members, like a member of the LCU was also there. But the interesting turn of events is that I've heard that Keemstar, he's very angry with Tech Protect and Fupa Cheese and everybody doing TikToks with Zio Mara. I think people got fired or punished for that. And it's like, wait a minute. You sent one of your people over to the Pearadise House to watch this documentary, and then you're going to turn around and get mad at them? Huh? So like that was interesting. You featured this guy Stefan on panel more than once on your channel, Keem, acting like you were basically promoting him or spotlighting him, and then members of the LCU are doing TikToks with Zio, and suddenly that's a problem. That's just weird.
Before we get too far, I am going to go ahead and put all of my disclaimers up front because we know how the people at the Pearadise House like to move. And so I'm going to go ahead and just state for the record that anything I am talking about today is going to be information that was made available by the ID documentary called Big Girls Wanted: Escaping Pearadise, but also it's publicly available information that was made publicly available either by a court of law or by a public figure. Everything that I talk about at this point in time is...
Okay, hold on. So this comment, I got to spotlight it. The Gulags did a video on Keem threatening to fire the bus channel. Why is he threatening to fire them? They work for him. Why is he pissed off? He was all on board with putting Stefan on his channel more than once and doing panels and all that. Then he's going to get mad at people that work for him doing TikToks with Zio. I mean, what? Like, you wanted to work with this dude. You put your employees around this dude, and then they do a TikTok with Zio, and suddenly it's an issue. Weirdo.
An allegation and is my subjective opinion. On that note, I also want to go ahead and give you all a brief disclaimer about the topics we'll be talking about today, because they're dark. This is going to be a heavier video once again, and we're going to be talking about things related to coercion, manipulation, control, abuse, and SA. If those are things that might be triggering to you or might put you in a bad mindset, I do not want you to continue to watch this video. Please go ahead and click out right now. Check out something else on the channel or from someone else that's a little more lighthearted, and I will catch you next time. Okay, so as I mentioned, we are going to be talking about the ID documentary called Big Girls Wanted: Escaping Pearadise. It's a 3-part series that dropped last Wednesday, June 10th, and oh my gosh, was it more than I could have anticipated. And I mean that honestly, because if you remember, and if you were here last week, before the documentary could even drop, Stefan was out trying to get platform after platform after platform.
Yeah, in my opinion, when I was watching all this go down, watching Stefan hop from one panel to another, just constantly doing panels, I told y'all, like, the feeling, the vibe that I got from it. He was like a politician campaigning and trying to put forth this image of, I'm not a bad guy. I'm not doing bad things over here. He was doing the online YouTube equivalent of like going from town to town and holding and kissing babies and cutting ribbons and just trying to make this image of like, I'm not a bad guy. I'm not doing creepy things. I'm not as bad as people say. Like, he was trying to create this false image of like, I'm okay. Not realizing in his narcissistic way that everything he was doing, like, he was just talking way too much. And what he should have done was to keep his mouth shut. But narcs can never keep their mouth shut. They got to constantly run their mouth. And when they run their mouth, they expose themselves. And he did. He really, really did.
To clear his name, to tell his side of the story, to say that the women who had allegations against him were lying. And it almost seemed like, even though people felt icky about him, that maybe he had somehow seized an opportunity with the documentary team to make himself look good. And that left me feeling really concerned because I've been doing a lot of research on Pearadise, on the allegations against this man, on what happened in the house. I've looked through the lawsuits, which had been thrown out, by the way, because he didn't have enough evidence. I even examined his website where he shared the supposed evidence, which we debunked together in the last video, as complete and utter bullshit.
And you know what's interesting? He's got those cameras running 24/7 in the house. Whether they're security cameras and or content filming cameras, like just live feed cameras, there should be plenty of evidence to back him up. How can there not be? If there's footage from either a security camera or a live feed camera, if there are allegations against you, wouldn't you have the footage to back up like things did not happen the way that people say that they did? All those cameras and there's nothing supporting him. Nothing was shown. Yeah, very, very strange.
Title alone should have told anyone with half a brain cell that this was not going to be positive about Pearadise. It's called Escaping Pearadise. But somehow it seemed like Stefan was winning. And when I went and clicked on the very first episode, and it popped up that text on the black screen that said, "This series examined allegations of SA and coercive control. It includes depictions of mental health issues, disordered eating, and explicit content."
I did see a live stream thing that he did with Miss Freaking Wonderful, and she's friends with Stefan. Don't ask me why. Bad idea, Miss Wonderful. But they were talking, and he was taking the point of view of, well, all publicity is good publicity, even if it's bad. She was telling him, don't worry about it. All publicity is very good publicity, even if it's rotten. It's still a spotlight for you. This is going to make your website, whatever you're doing, jump off. So he got it in his head that even if I'm a rotten person and it gets exposed that I've done these awful things, it's publicity. All narcs like to be in the spotlight. So he was looking at it as a positive thing and was really pumping up his ego.
I knew immediately that Stefan had not won and that this was in no way, shape, or form going to make Pearadise look like a place anyone should be. So the first thing we really learn in this first episode is that—
oh, hold on. I heard Miss Freaking Wonderful's boyfriend told her she can't talk to him anymore. Well, she strikes me as the kind of woman that doesn't like to be told what to do. And when you want to talk to somebody, you're going to talk to them regardless of what your significant other is going to say, you know, if you want to talk to him that bad. I don't know if she is still talking to Stefan, but she strikes me as kind of a headstrong kind of woman, and she's going to do what she wants to do. So I don't think just telling her don't talk to him anymore is going to make her like completely ice him out. That's just my take on it.
One of the main people behind the documentary is named Emily Kask, and Emily is a photojournalist. She is a plus-size woman, and she talks about her time at the Pearadise house and how she discovered them on social media, saying, if you're plus size, Pearadise pops up on your social media. It would always alert me when they were live. Then they bring in Tess Holliday to talk about social media and the way that hashtag F your beauty standards and hashtag body positivity were a really, truly good thing for plus size women who could come to the internet and learn they were not alone in the way they were being stigmatized. I should have been prepared to see Tess Holliday, but I really, truly wasn't. And honestly, she added nothing here of substance. But I do want you to hold this conversation about her hashtags in the back of your brain for just a little bit, because when we get to episode 2, it's going to be important. What really stuck out to me was the fact that Emily was a photojournalist, and it made me wonder, did Stefan know that he had invited a photojournalist to stay in his house? And then I realized that's not even a question, because this man has been trying to get them on TV for quite some time. When the allegations first broke, he was most upset that they had supposedly ruined some sort of TV.
Okay, we're going to stop it here. So let me read this to you. The plaintiffs provide no evidence of causation in support of their intentional interference claim. The only record evidence consists of Wilhelmi's declaration attached to plaintiff's opposition, in which he claims, 1, he signed an agreement for a television docuseries. Sandu published the contact information of the alleged producer. Defendants got the program canceled. Wilhelmi learned the program was canceled because of defendants' interference. So that's what he's pissed about. He was wanting to go global or international or have this huge deal for a television docuseries. And with everything coming out, that's not going to be the case. So again, this guy had a business model in mind, and he wanted to become somebody based on this business model. And it wasn't about him per se doing stuff. It was about surrounding himself with these women and catering to a certain fetish, a fetish that, in my opinion, is very dangerous to their health. He's encouraging women to get bigger and bigger and bigger to the point of health problems and sickness. That's the way he wants to get famous. That's the way he wants to be somebody. What's even more pathetic is, Stefan, you invented a part for convertibles. You had already made your money. You already made it per se. So why take it further? Why seek out fame that encourages self-harm? Why encourage these women to hurt themselves? Why not go the other way? Why not make a house where if you're a bigger woman and you want to be around other women, why not encourage them to be the healthiest selves they can be? Why not encourage them to go to therapy? Why not encourage their healing? Why encourage them in their hurting? It's crazy. He already made all of his money. He's already got enough money. Why farm these women out? Why treat them like cattle? It's sick and it's fucking disgusting.
TV deal for them. And if you recall, before the documentary, he was pretty excited to share that the documentary group came with a full setup and 15 cameras and all the producers.
They came here with 20 people deep, with multiple cameras and rigs and everything, like, hardcore like production.
And I had said that is going to turn around and bite him in the butt, and you're going to see later that it really truly did. But a photojournalist, like, he really thought that this was going to be a good thing for him. And you know probably why? Because she admits that her story at the time for getting in was that she wanted to take these photos to publish in the New York Times. And then she admits that really what she wanted to do was just see what was actually going on in a place where her body was the beauty standard, because she knew it was too good to be true. And then they include this little clip where she did her own confessional. She's clearly sitting in her car, potentially even outside the Pearadise house. And you see her saying,
I'm not really worried that the girls are going to like me. I think we're going to get along. I'm a little nervous about this, dude, though.
So before she even walks into the house, before she even introduces herself to Stefan, she's got that instinct, that feeling of I don't know. And it has nothing to do with the other women in the house. It has to do with him. He puts out such a bad vibe that even women who have never met him, they feel that feeling like, you shouldn't be doing this. You shouldn't be around this person. He's not all that he says he is. There's something going on here. If you're someone and you feel that way about someone, there's a reason why you feel that way. There's a reason. You should stay away. What's the reason behind watching this one, Villa? Because it has a lot of great insight and a lot of great information, and I wanted to react to it because I want to give my thoughts. Like Sam really, she goes far and beyond doing her homework and research, and her insight is so incredibly valuable.
Just like everyone else, her gut feeling in that moment was spot on. I have to say, I did then get some validation from my last video. I told you all, I recalled them saying, it's not like he doesn't expect anything from us when we stay in the house. He expects people to cook, to clean, to buy food, to do all the things that he doesn't want to do.
Okay, this is him on Instagram. That's his account, SSBBWFan73. And that is the name that's been popping up in Foodie's chat. That same handle. What are the odds that somebody using that handle is going in and is not Stefan? Because that handle is very specific, but I digress. So let's read what he put. He says, if somebody is letting you stay with them, get up and vacuum the floor, wash the dishes, clean the bathroom, buy dinner, do something. Stefan, you're not just letting the women stay there cost-free. As soon as they walk in, you're putting them to work. They're acting as the maid service and they're cleaning the entire house. And that's a big fucking house. They're cleaning everything. They're cooking everything. And on top of that, they're doing adult content there, which makes you money. So you're expecting maid service and also for them to be 24/7 cam models in the house. You're pimping them out and you're getting maid cleaning services basically for free. You're putting them to work.
In return for staying at his house. But he does it in a way to build inner circles and to make it feel like if you're doing these things, you're being loyal. In the documentary, though, they also add the caveat that he is always filming the women from the time they wake up to the time they go to bed, no matter what they're doing.
And this comment, thank you, Oranges. Stefan even had them working on his legit business. So let's review this body positive house. That's the selling point. Oh, it's about body positivity. That's what gets them in the door. Then they get in the door. They start living with Stefan or staying with Stefan. You come in, you are expected to do many things. You're expected to clean. You are expected to cook. Oh, and you also got to buy your own damn food. He's not even providing the food. You got to buy your own groceries. You got to work on his legit business. The cameras are rolling 24/7. So he's getting adult content, which he can then take and sell somewhere or profit from somewhere. So he's making money with all this. Yeah. So Stefan had a workforce out of the situation. Yep, he sure did. They aren't just staying in the house for nothing. They are essentially his employees. And they're not just working an 8-hour shift. Their shift is 24/7. Hello. Hey, lovely Rose in chat. Isn't Chantal about a foot too short for Stefan? Oh, there are many factors that disqualify her. She's too short, she's too old, and she's too sick. She's not mobile enough. She's not sellable. I hate to say that, but for the regular feeder market, she's not sellable. The only ones that would want Chantal right now are the death fat feeders and the guys who have very extreme kinks. She could market herself to both of those, but not to the regular feeders. She's in death fat category. Yeah, she's dirty. You know, if you are a cam model, you are expected to, be enthusiastic about your work. You have to be clean. You have to be ready to work and you've got some kind of energy. And she's just not that. She's kind of X'd herself out of that market. But yeah, she's too short for Stefan. She's aged out. She's in her 40s now. But she's appropriate for other kinds of markets that might be looking for what she can do.
They're on his camera. Not only his security cameras, which we learn in the documentary also record audio, but also either for his TikTok live or for pre-recorded TikTok content. And it's interesting because it's in this moment that they decided to cut to Stefan saying in a confessional, "You can come to Pearadise and be yourself without feeling like you're being watched." Except you are being watched 24/7 by his security cameras, which he has also owned up to. And I find it interesting that later in the series, you're actually going to see him saying, there are no cameras in the bathrooms or the bedrooms. And the documentary people zoom in on a camera in the bedroom that they're standing.
Yeah, what's that? What's that? That's a camera right there. That is a camera. What the hell is that? There it is, pointing right there. So there's no cameras in the bedroom? There's the camera right there. Why does he have a camera in his bedroom? That's a security camera? For what reason do you have a security camera possibly pointed at your bed? And I would like to know where that feed is going. Is it going to a security camera or is it a live feed camera? If that's a live feed camera, then that means somebody else is watching the footage or possibly a group of people. So are you filming women being intimate with you without their consent, without their knowledge? Are you doing adult content and not telling these women that you're filming adult content and you're placing it on the internet or some website without their knowledge? Like they're being filmed against their will.
In. And then this is where we start to get stories from women who lived in the house but also have allegations against Stefan or have had things happen.
Oh, and by the way, just something to be known. In the adult industry, there is a thing called a model release. For anyone who, say, does a set of adult pictures or they do an adult movie, before the filming can commence, you, the person or persons involved in that kind of content, or even if it's not adult, they have to sign a model release. And what that model release does is you are saying to the person filming the content, whether it's video or pictures, that you are giving your consent, that you are of legal age, that the person in question who is filming you, that you are giving full consent for them to do whatever it is they wish with the footage. And that includes taking said footage or taking said pictures, and they can alter them in whatever way they see fit. And in the adult industry, it is often commonplace to say, take a set of pictures, and if you want to, if you've got the skills, like say with AI or Photoshop, you can take out and put in things in the picture that weren't there to begin with and make all kinds of content. So my question for Stefan is, are you getting model releases from these women for all this footage? Because I don't think you are. I don't think they know about half the stuff that you filmed. And if there are images or videos or pictures out there of them that they are not aware of and they get found, your ass can get sued because you didn't get a model release for it. Just letting you know.
To them. And I have to tell you all, I know their stories inside and out, or at least I thought so, from doing as much research and as much deep diving as I have. But hearing them tell their stories with their own voices in full was heartbreaking to me. Like, really, truly, I could.
And another thing, while we're talking about that, a lot of producers who do adult content, they often get you on video saying, I'm doing this under my own free will. I am not under the influence of drugs or alcohol. They just want to, back up the fact that the person is doing the content and they are not under the influence and they're giving full consent. So when it comes to Stefan, if there are rugs in the house, if there's alcohol, if these women are under the influence when things are being filmed, they can also sue for that.
Could not have guessed the things that they would share that I didn't already know. One of the first is a more mild story, but it speaks to the level of manipulation and grooming that are taking place. And that story came from Heather, where they show Stefan saying, well, we have a scale in our house, but it's about retaking ownership of the scale. People can step on it or not. They can decide how they interact with the number on the scale. He definitely wanted her to get on that scale.
Okay, I'm going to back it up, but these are great comments here. Thank you, Blue. Lady, the mother of his children that had his children, there are text messages that were read on a crime channel that she asked how much he made because she needed things for the baby. And he told her he only made $30 to $40 a month. That's a bunch of bullshit. He's making way more than $30, $40 a month. He would have to. The mortgage or the rent on a house that size is more than $40 a month. Are you kidding me? It takes more than that to pay the light bill. He's making money hand over fist with those ladies. He has to be. I don't know what he makes on Instagram or TikTok, but I would imagine it's quite a bit. Plus, if he's inviting men to the house to do squashing sessions, he's getting way more than that for those in-person visits. I mean, let's think about Foodie. Let's go back to Foodie for a minute. How much does she charge for business cameos? About $250, right? So you can imagine how much he's charging the men for the in-person squashing sessions and the live feed and all the pictures that he might be providing them and the videos, even the adult videos. Way more than that. Way more. An indoor heated pool, very expensive to maintain. Yes, yes. This too, I think the filming and what goes on in these films, he uses against them because there are probably illegal things going on, perhaps. Or even if they aren't illegal, you may not want the whole world to know what you did in the house. So he uses potentially the possibility of public embarrassment and humiliation to keep them quiet. So these women are not aware of how much money he's really making off of them, videotaping them. He's lying to them. Of course he is. I'm sure they have no idea. He's making money hand over fist with these women. He cannot tell me otherwise. I'm in the adult industry. He's got a fucking content house going on with several women. And I'm sure if they weren't making him money, he wouldn't have them there. He's not doing it for fun. This is not philanthropy going on. They are there for a reason. He's making so much money off of them. They could easily go into their own house and make all the money and cut him out of the deal. And I hope that they do. I don't encourage them to do feeder content. I think that's self-harm behavior. But doggone it, if you're going to do adult content, make your money and don't share it with that motherfucker. Do what you want to do yourself. You don't need him. Screw him. What's he there for?
In front of him on her very first day. And that was him capturing her weight. And he even commented on her weight at that point in time. She talks about how once he had them do it as a group. And when someone gained 5 pounds, he got very excited about it. And in that moment, my brain was like, okay, well, this makes sense that would be a thing for him, the scale, because the one place that he truly loves is the Heart Attack Grill. And there's a reason for that. And it's because of that damn scale in front of that building. And you better believe it, the documentary went straight to his love of Heart Attack Grill. And they talked about how he actually has a routine to take women to the strip and have them step on that scale together. And they actually do show a clip where the women stand together and they collectively weighed in at 2,642 pounds.
Can I just say something about that? Making the women get weighed in public, that's not nice. You know, like his obsession with the scale, and you have to get on the scale, and going to a restaurant, and I'm taking you to a restaurant that features a scale. You know, these women are human beings. They are people. And you're treating them like cattle. And you're weighing them in public. It's not nice. You might be potentially humiliating them and embarrassing them. And you're trying to pass it off as, no, it's not humiliating. It's not embarrassing, even though we're doing it out in public. If you're taking them to a restaurant, why not just take them inside the restaurant like normal? Why put them on a scale in public? Why film it? Why take pictures? Again, you're doing it for a reason, for the purpose of control, and also because you're looking for content for a website, for your social media accounts. They're not cattle. They're people. So why are you weighing them like cattle? Yeah, thank you. It's got a cattle at the auction sort of vibe to it. Well, in a way, he is kind of treating them like he is treating the women like they're at an auction. If he's catering to the feeders, this is the auction. I'm showing these women, I'm showing how much they weigh. It sort of is an auction. He's auctioning them off.
And then this is where things started to get more interesting. You could tell they were really building up to the more serious allegations, because they start to talk about the way that he introduces women to Phoebe pretty early on when they get to the house.
That's important. What is Phoebe? Phoebe is a site that caters to the feeder community. So I guess as soon as you get to the house, whether you are an adult cam model or not, he's going to tell you about Phoebe. He's going to introduce you to Phoebe, possibly doing content for Phoebe. If you simply have a house for the body positive movement, and it's not about adult content or an adult fetish, why introduce the women to that site if they are not familiar, unless you want them to make content for said site, which then turn makes you money or gets you notoriety. This is all part of the business model. This is not a regular house for big women. This is an adult content house where you'll be making content for the feeders.
Telling them that it's pretty easy to get people to send them money to buy food. And then it cuts to Stefan talking about feederism and how people often think of that as a very negative thing. And what's interesting is that prior to the documentary dropping, we saw him on LOL Cow Bus.
Hey, you know what? Let me go back to that for a minute. That part, hold on.
To talk about the way that he introduces women to Phoebe pretty early on when they get to the house, telling them that it's pretty easy to get people to send them money to buy food.
That. So there are no other ways to make money online to help them pay for their food? Let's go straight to the Phoebe. Let's go straight there. There's no way to make money for food. There's no other type of business. Why not suggest telemarketing or online sales? There's all kinds of ways to make money online where you can do phone service. Why not introduce them to that? No? Going to go straight to Phoebe because he's a feeder and that caters to his fetish too? Oh, you're in my house now and you got to pay for your own food. So you got to figure out a way to make the money. So I'm going to introduce you to Phoebe. You can get on Phoebe. You can make money by catering to the feeders. They will send you money, which in turn you can give to me, as well as pay for your own food. And it makes me happy because while this is going on, you're gaining weight, and that's exactly what I want you to do. I'm going to introduce you to something that makes me happy as well as makes you happy. This is sick. This is incredibly sick.
And then it cuts to Stefan talking about feederism and how people often think of that as a very negative thing. And what's interesting is that prior to the documentary dropping, we saw him on LOL Cow Bus saying, "There's no feeding going on. Feederism is not a thing that happens in my house. We eat dinner together."
Well, if there's no feederism going on in the house, why introduce the ladies to a feeder site? Why encourage them to sign up to a site like that? Why encourage them to make money from a site like that? And I'll bet dimes to donuts, chat, that if he's introducing the ladies to Phoebe, you know there's more. I'm sure he knows about all the feeder sites and which ones make money, which ones have the biggest baller clients. I'm sure he's well connected in that community, and he keeps an eye on what sites get the most traffic, where the big baller feeders are, and he connects the ladies up to those feeders. And that is how he knows exactly what type of woman to bring into the house, what they're looking for. If they're looking for the 20-something-year-olds, that they're looking for a certain look, they're looking for a certain mobility, and that is who he's catering to. And if those big baller clients said, "Hey, you know, I got all this money and I'm looking for a 5 foot tall, barely alive woman who's in her 40s, he would have Foodie in that house in a heartbeat. Despite what his personal interests are, he would bring Foodie to that house. But since the big baller feeders don't want that, he doesn't want Foodie there." Thank you, Suzanne. One of the girls even said he let men come to the house to feed them. There you go. He's catering to that fetish fully, not just online, but in-person visits from strangers. Is that safe to let men that you don't know all up in your house around the ladies? I mean, because some of them can get pretty dangerous. You don't know if one of the men is going to get obsessed and want to come back. You're putting these women in danger, exposing them to these freaks. That's why I'm saying if you're gonna do it for yourself. Like, he is exposing these women to so many dangers by operating a house like that. Did you see yesterday she showed photoshops of her at the Pearadise house in the pool? Foodie really, really wants to go to Pearadise. And I think I know why. I don't think it's because she wants to be in a house full of other women. Foodie wants to be the center of attention, although if she went to Pearadise, she would not be the center of attention, and she would have to interact with other women, and there's already an inner circle that more than likely would not like her. I think that she's looking for a soft place to land because she's in that apartment and she's not happy there. She wants to be in an environment where she feels she's going to be coddled and taken care of. That ain't it. So Stefan is not going to coddle and take care of Foodie, especially as sick as she is. She would be a liability. There's already a history of people dying in that house or dying after they leave. And look at how close to death she is. Stefan would look at her and go, "Nope, you're already too sick. You're not mobile. You're lazy. You're stubborn. No, 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 no." He'll pimp you out as long as you're halfway healthy. But if you're not halfway healthy, he don't want nothing to do with you. He wants the women to work and take care of him. He is not about that life of taking care of the women, period. If you put yourself in a position where more than likely you're going to be bedbound and he's got to take care of you and you're going to be a money drain, he don't want nothing to do with that. He wants you as long as you can make him money. You can't make him money, you're staying out of that house.
There's no feeding. Like, we eat dinner. like family. Like everybody who's watched Pearadise live stream at any point in time might have seen us sitting around the table, and one of the beautiful women dished up a delicious dinner, and we were just sitting eating on camera.
And in that clip, he's being extremely defensive, and it lets you know right away these things are most certainly happening in his house. Whether he admits to it or not, it definitely is. And they're going to go ahead in either later in this episode or the other episodes, they're going to slowly unveil to us that that is actually what was happening. And then this is where they start to build up into the more serious allegations as they finally start to talk about Savvy and what happened when she stayed at the Pearadise house. And that is that Stefan touched her without her consent, both on her belly and on her buttocks. And in one situation, she did tell him, "I am uncomfortable." And at that point, he has admitted, "Yes, I did that, and then I stopped doing that," which is him saying he did not get consent up front. In this interview, though, Savvy for the first time actually talks about that moment, and when she told him that she was uncomfortable, he always says, and we've heard it on repeat, if people have a problem, they should come and talk to me. I want to know. Tell me you're uncomfortable so I can stop. And Savvy says in this interview, she finally got the courage to tell him she was uncomfortable. And at that point, it felt like he was upset, and it changed his vibe around her.
I also want to add in here, there are women that live with Stefan, and there are women who visited Stefan. Meaning they had their own residence. They were just visiting. Not everybody who came to Pearadise was a full-time resident, but if you are a woman and you've moved into this house and he does inappropriate touching without your consent, it makes you uncomfortable. You are living in somebody else's house. You may be depending on them for a place to live. And perhaps you have no money. You have nowhere to go. Perhaps you have no friends or family to move in with. If things become too uncomfortable, you may feel like you're in a situation where you're trapped, which I'm sure that he counted on, that he brought women into the house that were essentially trapped. They had nowhere to go after being in his house. That in itself might guarantee silence, that even if he did something inappropriate or uncomfortable, the women in question might be thinking, well, I didn't like what just happened. It's making me uncomfortable. He makes me uncomfortable. But where am I going to go if I leave here? I'll be out on the street. You know, they might be in survival mode in their head. Like, I'm trapped here. I got nowhere to go. What choice do I have but to stay here and just deal with it?
And the problem with that is that he controls the vibe in the house and the way that all of the other women feel, because they must be loyal to him to be in his house, which again is a pattern we've seen across my other research and my other videos. So Savvy saying that is important because this all alludes to the fact that when you're in the house and when you're in this situation that is being highly controlled, and you have all of these women who want to be loyal to this person, to be part of the inner circle, Savvy says she didn't want to upset anybody else and cause issues across the house. And that almost made her feel like she shouldn't say anything at all. There is a level of control. Stefan brings in a lot of women. They talked previously about him having them wrapped around his little finger. They want to be loyal. They want to be part of his inner circle. So Savvy is saying in this moment, I didn't want to disrupt the unity of the entire house.
And here's the really messed up part about it. If these women are wanting to be part of the inner circle, they want to be the most loved. They want to prove that they're the most loyal. The fucked up part is that even if you're a woman and you come into the house and you are the most loyal, you are the most loving, you are his ride and die, you're 10 toes down for this guy, you defend him with everything you got. What happens when you become too old or too sick? Is he going to give the same amount of loyalty? Is he going to get the same amount of love? that when you reach an age where you're just too old for Stefan or too sick, is he going to return that loyalty and love by taking care of you or making sure that when you leave the house that you're okay? I don't think so. All that love and that loyalty for what? For what? He's just going to abandon you and not give a shit. So all that time in the house, you are being utilized and monetized in every way possible. But then if you reach a point where you can't make money for him anymore, or he's tired of you, he kicks you out. So the loyalty and the love and the work is all for nothing.
I didn't want people to come at me in the moment. And that's important. And then immediately following that, even this photojournalist says that there was an unspoken rule that if you stayed in Stefan's house, you would be sleeping with him. And then they talk about the big allegations starting to drop on social media, the way that that disrupted the house, and how it became his ultimate goal to shut it down. In episode 2, we do learn a little bit of background about Stefan, and apparently his parents were health freaks, and once upon a time in his teenage years, he brought home a plus-size girl, and they did not approve. So he decided he was going to move out of their house. He was going to move to the USA where there were plenty of plus-size people to choose from, and that's where he ended up. And then this is where they introduce Cece. If you don't remember Cece from my other videos, Cece is the mother of Stefan's twin boys, and those twin boys, according to her allegations, were conceived non-consensually.
I like this comment. I really like it. Thank you, Suzanne. What he's doing is essentially what pimps do in Germany do. They provide a place to live and work and take rent money, etc., while calling themselves managers or something. Yep. A front for prostitution. Like, I am going to act like I am taking care of all of you when the actual truth is you're taking care of me. Your job is to take care of me and work for me full time. So the women come in thinking they're going to be taken care of and loved when they're not loved. They're just being put to work.
These allegations are, again, amongst the most serious. And in the documentary, we see her saying he did not take no for an answer. If he wanted it, he was going to take it. And that had been her experience with him. And again, in his own evidence, he showcases messages with her the morning after saying, "Hey, I noticed you were off last night." To which she responded, "Yeah, I was in a daze." Again, showing he knew something was off and did not stop. He didn't.
Yep. So he wanted to be intimate with this woman. And during the encounter, let me go back to the message. This was him talking, saying, "You were out of it last night, and this morning I felt it. Something was off." So you were wanting to be intimate with Cece. And during the encounter, it was so obvious that something was the matter. And yet you didn't stop. You didn't initiate things and then notice something's wrong here and stop. You just kept going. Predator. You were out of it last night, and this morning I felt it. Something was off. Her reply is, "I was just so exhausted. Work has been draining me. I was literally in a daze." So she's telling him what happened. That she was exhausted. She's drained from work. She was in a daze. So she was in a daze while this was going on and tired, and he didn't notice. If you're about to be intimate with somebody, you can feel their energy or their lack of energy. You can feel when somebody's tired, when they're maybe disassociating, they're exhausted. Why not just not do anything and say, I'm in the mood, but obviously you're not in the mood. You don't even have the energy for this. Let's just not do it. But nope, he kept going.
"You were off last night." To which she responded, "Yeah, I was in a daze." Again, showing he knew something was off and did not stop. He didn't care enough to stop. And then they talk about the way that he has showed footage of Cece's assault to other women in the house so that those women can prove his innocence.
Why would you do that? Why would you show the footage to other women? Like, that is your proof? You're going to show something like that to the other women that.
After watching the full video from start to finish, I can confirm that this was a consensual interaction between two adults.
Ma'am, I don't know who you are. You need to shut the fuck up. You're already sitting down, but you can have several more seats. You were not there. It did not happen to you. You cannot judge what the assault was or what it wasn't just because you watch a bunch of footage. Please have a seat. Please sit down. You cannot judge what happened to another person because it was not you. It did not happen to you. You need to be careful who you're white knighting for.
And that again ties back to this bigger picture pattern of him creating inner circles. And they lead into conversations about the lawsuit, the way that he sued the women coming out with allegations against him to try to silence them.
Okay, hold on. You notice that the lady does not seem happy. He's sitting there like he's making sure she says what he wants her to say. They always have him right there when they say stuff like this. Yep. I noticed that too. Why couldn't she make a video alone without him there? Why does he have to be there? Why is he sitting directly beside her like he's almost making sure she's saying the right things? Yep, sounds very coerced. Oh, that's Shay. Oh my goodness. Well, rest in peace, Shay. I'm sorry that she's gone, but she really shouldn't be back. She should not have backed him up on this behavior. Although you're right, her energy was very coerced, almost forced. With him sitting beside her, how could she speak with her own free will? If he's in the room, he's directly next to her, like, you better say this. You know, it's very telling when you don't leave somebody alone to talk. You can't do that.
And how he used his inner circle of women to use their own platforms to make videos defending him. And they talk about in that moment how if you didn't defend him against these allegations, if you questioned him at all, you were no longer loyal. And it was interesting in the documentary to see some of the women talking about their experience having to do that and make those videos and the way that they regret it now. And then this is once again where we get a more serious story, a very dark story from one of the women who previously lived in the house, and that's Ivy. And Ivy talks about the way that Stefan inserted what he would call a kitty treat, and she ended up having an allergic reaction to it. And what we learn through her storytelling is that
he basically forced spermicide into her private parts with a tampon applicator. I'm not quite sure how that works. I've never heard of that before. But putting something like that inside of a woman's body without her consent, without her knowledge, not knowing if she might be highly allergic to something like that, because those things can be an irritant, can cause problems. Doing that to a woman without her knowledge, without asking her, hey, is this okay? Have you had experience with this before? Do you think you'd have an allergic reaction? Stefan, if you want to make sure these women do not get pregnant, go get a damn vasectomy, stupid. Just go get one. You know, you shouldn't be putting stuff inside of a woman's body without their knowledge. But if you're all kinds of worried about getting these women pregnant, get it snipped down there. Dumbass.
it was actually something like a tampon applicator with spermicide in it, and she had an allergic reaction. This was something she did not consent to and that she did not know he was going to do. And I think the worst part is that there's this conversation about the way he talks about women's bodies and refers to things as kitty. And that is something that I had flagged. There's like a meow clock on the wall, which they zoom into in the documentary, but I certainly noticed it in some of his content. It was also in Cece's text messages. She would always send cats. And recently, most disturbingly, in my opinion, he did a live stream, which I had screen captured and I used in my last video, where the title or caption was like meow meow or kitty kitty or something like that. It's disgusting. And she told this story, and you can hear the heartbreak in her voice because that was the turning point. She had previously thought, well, I can't take these women seriously because nothing has happened to me until that moment. And then they cut to Stefan in this documentary, and he laughs about it. I nearly lost my mind. Why is he laughing? That is not funny. It's never been funny, and it's never going to be funny. And people might try to defend it and say it's nervous laughter, but oh my God, does that reveal to you how shitty this person is? Like,
Yeah, he's a narc, and there's lack of remorse or regret. There's no remorse or regret for someone like Stefan. Like, I did something, and thinking back on it, I'm sorry I did it. I'm sorry who I did it to. I'm sorry that I caused hurt to this person or potentially could have caused hurt to this person. No remorse and no regret. None.
as if we didn't already know how icky and gross and terrible he is, this moment sold it once again for me. And then remember at the beginning of this when I talked about Tess Holliday and how she was talking about hashtag body positivity and hashtag F your beauty standards, and Emily, the photojournalist, had talked about the way that Pearadise would always just pop up on TikTok for her.
I think I know why they included Tess Holliday, because she was the beginning of the body positive movement. And that is the same idea that Stefan was using to draw women into the house. So I can understand why Investigative Discovery included Tess Holliday, because she was a part of the body positive movement. And that was the lure that Stefan used to bring women into the house. So I can understand why they tied her into the whole thing.
Well, this is where that's going to tie in. And I think the documentary didn't really do a good job of sussing this out and really thinking through it. Because we're going to get to the allegations that were made by Alexandria, who is also known as Porky on social media. And if you remember, much like Cece, Porky has similar allegations about non-consensual time with Stefan and what that did to her. But what's most intriguing here is we're hearing her tell her own story, and she says, "When I walked into the Pearadise house, it felt as though I was stepping through my computer screen." And that's interesting to me for several reasons. Again, because of the way social media works. Having Tess Holliday here to talk about her hashtags was really something else, because this again should have been turned into the conversation about the way these hashtags can be taken and co-opted by people like Stefan to bring these vulnerable women who are coming online to share their experiences into his house, where he can then again take advantage of them.
Mm-hmm.
Because we know, unfortunately, people who have dealt with SA.
Okay, research suggests that adults, particularly women who are victimized as children, are at high risk of re-victimization in later life. For example, in one survey, it was found that 72% of women who experienced either physical or SA as a child also experienced violence in adulthood, compared to 37% of women who did not experience CA. And that is to say that men cannot be victims. There are lots of men who have been victims of horrible crimes. Like, all victims matter here. It's just that this video is talking about women, but men matter as well.
Or abuse or trauma are likely to experience it again. They are more likely than the average person to experience those things again. It's just the way that it works psychologically. And they just kind of glazed over that. And I hate that because that is what he wants. He wants to be in those plus size spaces. He wants to be in control of those plus size spaces. So he brings those women in, has them make their own content, and use those hashtags to be able to meet that goal. Those hashtags are a means to an end for this man. It also, again, glazes over the manipulation and the grooming that are taking place. And grooming always seems like a weird description for this because a lot of times when people think about grooming, they're thinking about children. But it is fully possible for adults to be groomed by other adults.
Yeah.
In fact, Survivors UK shares that most predators frequently use the exact same psychological tactics, such as isolation, flattery, and boundary testing, to manipulate adults into tolerating sexual, emotional, financial, or domestic abuse. Grooming is a gradual process, and in that process, what they're typically doing is targeting, which is looking for individuals who might be experiencing vulnerable periods.
Okay, let's go back. Oh, oops. Sorry. Dang it. Yeah, grooming doesn't happen overnight, though. It's a process, and there are several stages. It's a delicate subject. Most won't jump at the opportunity to learn about it, but the more we understand these behaviors and their perpetrators, the more adept we are at spotting them and stopping them from progressing further.
Gradual process. And in that process, what they're typically doing is targeting, which is.
And how are these women targeted? Social media. The targeting starts with the body positive hashtag and him making a website, putting out the bat signal. If you are a plus size woman, I want to talk to you. He's got all the open doors. He's got a website where people can reach out to him. He has Instagram. He's got TikTok. He had a Discord, which he recently shut down. Why'd you shut it down, Stefan? What's on that Discord that you didn't want people to see? That's really weird that you went on panels and you were promoting the Pearadise documentary, but you shut down your Discord. Why? What's in that Discord? What was going on in that Discord? You were talking to minors on that Discord. That got revealed. But what else is on there? Are there private sectors of that Discord with all kinds of content that you didn't want people to fucking see? Is that why you shut it down? You were like shutting down the evidence? I'll tell you what. I think those who have authority, legal authority, they should be checking out your hard drives. All of them, everywhere. I think you've got some things that might get you in trouble on those hard drives. But the targeting starts with social media, the hashtag, the Discords, the social media accounts. You're looking and you're searching and you're farming out women, looking for specific types of women. You invite them to the house, painting this picture of body positivity. And then if they are marketable enough, you will invite them to live there. Maybe you're looking for women that are vulnerable, that they don't have much money, that they lack a home. You offer for them to live there so they have a space to live. And then once they start living there, then the conditioning starts. You know, you let them stay there and they're around the other women. They think they're safe, but slowly you're conditioning them to do what you want them to do. And the entire time that they're there, you're filming them. You're taking pictures and putting them on TikTok and YouTube and Instagram. And you're also filming them. Even in the bedroom, you're filming them. For blackmail purposes, for adult content purposes, you're filming them. And I'm sure you don't have model releases for all that shit. So almost right out of the gate, you're making money off these women. You're exploiting them.
Is looking for individuals who might be experiencing vulnerable periods such as loneliness, financial instability, housing issues, or isolation. They go through a period of love bombing and trust building, imagine in Stefan's case, it's bringing them into the house, having the other girls like being supportive and doing all the things. He's being supportive. He's testing boundaries with them as they get comfortable with the women and feel more friendly and might be into doing booty slaps or whatever with them. He starts to test the boundaries and chip away at them by getting into it. And again, as Savvy mentioned, they feel uncomfortable saying no, because how can they when this is what's set up? There's also the isolation element. He has them in his house where they're isolated from family, friends, the real world. It's a way for a predator to have a victim solely rely on them for validation and support.
And that's another thing. If that house is about body positivity, why are you isolating the women away from their friends and their family? Why not let them have contact with friends and family? Anybody who's ever been in an abusive relationship already knows the reason why. Because the person who is the abuser doesn't want the victim to have voices of reason in their ear. They want to be the only voice, and they want to silence all the other voices. They don't want the friends and the family to come forward and talk to their target and point out that to them things that are going on, things that might be wrong. Are you sure you want to live with this guy? Because it doesn't feel right to me. Or, hey, so-and-so, why is this guy filming you all the time? Why is he having you on the feeder sites? Are you sure this is a thing that you should be doing? He doesn't want the victims to have a chance to stop and think about how wrong things might actually be. He wants to create an environment with conditioning that everything going on is perfectly normal, that the abnormal is normal and it's perfectly fine. And he wants to keep you inside that bubble where it benefits him.
And then finally, there's the normalization of abuse, where once they're fully dependent and feel like they can't leave, they're also made to feel like there's no way for them to speak out. And in Stefan's case, there's multiple areas where he's done that, both by creating inner circles of women who he can then use to silence people or to make them feel invalid, but also he's used the legal system to try and silence people and take advantage of them. I'm going to go back to Savvy's case for a minute. Savvy talks about being 19 years old when Stefan brought the lawsuit for defamation and slander against them for their allegations. They talk about the fear because they were a 19-year-old poor college student. They couldn't be dragged through the court system, and he was a millionaire, and he was suing them for $1 million. That is a problem. And again, the way the documentary is laid out, these things are all kind of sporadically placed rather than being put together into a storyline that walks people through why all of this is truly problematic. Some of that grooming that we just talked about in Porky's case, in many of these cases, was taking place via social media, via the live streams. She described it as stepping into her computer screen, because what they've managed to do with Pearadise is make it so that they're live streaming 24/7. You feel like you've been there. You feel like you know the people. You feel like you know everything that's going on. But then if we go back to the first episode, they talk about what happens when the live streams stop. And I got to be honest, they said hot tub time, and I almost threw up in my mouth because I know what they're about to say and what they're about to talk about, but most other people don't. And that, again, is another problem because social media can sell this like it's a content house. And I've seen ID promoters promoting this like it was a content house, but it isn't. And that is another.
You know what I find interesting? So Stefan had cameras in his bedroom. A bedroom is a very intimate area where a lot of intimacy happens. So there was a camera in his bedroom, but not one on the hot tub. The hot tub is a public area Why no camera on the hot tub? But why is there a camera in your fucking bedroom? Where if you're in your bedroom, you're probably going to take your clothes off and do intimate things. So the camera's in the bedroom, but not on the hot tub. Where you're in a hot tub, you're just, in the water. No camera on the hot tub. Interesting. Very interesting.
Other part of the problem that just gets glazed over in this documentary. And I gotta tell you, I have seen everything Stefan has to say about Porky and her allegations, and it's always gross. He tries to use evidence that she had flirted with him beforehand, which means consent. But then again, in this same way, we hear him saying, she confirmed consent multiple times and told me she wasn't drunk. She told my friend she wasn't drunk.
Okay, you're disgusting, Stefan. That part.
And it's always gross. He tries to use evidence that she had flirted with him beforehand, which means...
Just because someone flirts with you doesn't mean they're giving consent to be touched or any kind of intimate act. Two people can flirt with each other, and that's all it is just words and bantering back and forth. But flirting does not mean instant consent for anything else.
Consent. But then again, in this same way, we hear him saying, she confirmed consent multiple times and told me she wasn't drunk.
But if there is even a sliver of a thought that she might be drunk, you still should not be doing anything with her, Stefan. If you have to walk up to somebody and you're not sure if they are intoxicated, if they're in the frame of mind where they can give full consent, if there is any doubt, you should not do anything. Even if that person is all over you and they're in the mood, you to say, you're not all the way sober. I don't think you're all the way sober. So if you still want to do something with me, let's wait until tomorrow when I know you're sober. And if you still want to do something, fine, but not tonight. You can keep your pants on and you can say no. Everybody has the right to say no.
She told my friend she wasn't drunk. So at what point do you just take her word for it? I feel like it should be obvious, but if you have to ask someone for consent multiple times to feel comfortable, maybe that's not consent.
Exactly. If you have to ask multiple times, then they're probably a little bit drunk and they can't give consent, and maybe you shouldn't do it.
Maybe you just shouldn't. I don't know, my mom used to always say, something, if you have to ask, the answer is no. Well, I don't understand why this is lost on this man who is in his 50s. And again, the other bigger picture here is she could have been sober and she could have said yes initially, but consent can also be rescinded at any moment in time. But we know from things like Cece's text message chain that also isn't a thing. He doesn't take no for an answer. He doesn't take the vibes being off as an answer. He doesn't take someone being potentially drunk as an answer. And I have to tell you all, it was the next part of this episode that honestly truly broke me, because I did talk through Cass's story as much as I could. I didn't know her. I've not lived in this house. I just, again, went off of what was publicly available. But hearing the people who knew Cass talk about her broke my heart, sent me over the edge. I was in tears watching, because it was so clear, even when I talked about her previously, that she had a beautiful soul.
Yes.
You could tell that she was trying to bring light to people and she was struggling with her mental health. And these people in this documentary are talking about how much Cass truly loved Stefan and the way that he took advantage of that. And he made her relive her trauma over and over and over again to try to invalidate the other allegations against him. And they're talking about what that did to her and how that did make her struggle with her mental health to the point that she had an attempt at her own life. It genuinely made me incredibly sad to listen to that. And then part of this story is Stefan telling people his type is 500 pounds, tall, but he wants them to be active. And as a part of this story, they actually share that when Cass had her 27th birthday, he shared that she was getting too old for him.
That breaks my heart. I was watching the documentary, and when it came to Cass's story, I nearly wanted to cry. She was such an incredibly beautiful woman, and she was young. And I don't know her health issues, but I keep feeling like she died of a broken heart. He broke her heart. Like she genuinely cared for him, and she died of a broken heart. She died with a broken heart. She was there for him. She honestly did care for him. She wasn't there to just do content. She loved him. And on her birthday, he's telling this young, beautiful woman who's given so much love to him, "You're too old for me." He broke her heart. And that's what I'm talking about, is like he brings these women into the house and he makes money off of them. A lot of money. He wouldn't have them there otherwise. And there's nothing set up for them. Like when they get too old for you, where do they go? After all is said and done, where do they go? What do they do? There's nothing set up for the after. It's just he has them there in the moment, making money for him, working for him, cooking, cleaning for him, helping him grow his social media accounts. He's utilizing them and he's treating them like cattle. But if you get too sick and you get too old, you're out. You get pushed out. And it's so horrible. And this poor, beautiful, this wonderful woman who loved him on her birthday being told, "You're too old for me." And anybody who's ever been in a relationship with somebody and you love them completely, to have your partner or the man or woman that you love look at you and they devastate you by saying you're too old. Like how crushing that is, how emotionally, mentally crushing that has to be. Stefan, you suck. You suck for what you do. You suck for what you did. You suck for breaking this woman's heart. Shame on you.
And that feeds this pattern, because we know here on this channel, from everything we've talked about with fat liberation, fat acceptance, body positivity.
Yeah, and you know what the crazy thing is? And thank you for pointing that out. I see. That's crazy to say when he's old himself. Yeah, he's in his 50s. Imagine a 50-something-year-old woman looking at a 27-year-old woman and saying, "You're too old for me." The fuck? This woman is half your age, and you're looking at her and saying, "You're too old for me." What? Sir, have you looked in the mirror? You're in your 50s. And I got to ask the question, since we're here, how long do you think you can pull this shit? You're in your 50s. Do you think you can like put forth this image of being this creator in paradise? Like when you get to be in your 60s and 70s, what's going to happen? How's that going to look? You're a much, much older man surrounded by young women. How's that going to look? That's going to look kind of creepy and weird. It already does, but it's only going to get worse. You're old enough to be their father. That's just wild work. You're in your 50s and you're telling a 27-year-old, "You're too old for me." Fuck off.
People who are 500 plus pounds can't be active typically unless they're very young. We have talked about that so many times. the young women who fall into this movement because they truly believe nothing is wrong with them. Because when you're young and your blood tests look good and you can still move around just fine, you believe that you're fine. It's not typically until people hit their 30s that they realize what the excess body weight is doing to them.
True. And this for me, just because a person gets older does not mean that they are less attractive. I have seen some amazing older women. I've shown you guys pictures of women that were in their 80s and 90s that are doing professional modeling. The silver foxes that are just ruling the runway. You hear me? They are queens and they're ruling the runway. So Stefan, looking at these women and saying, you're too old for me, treating them like gallons of expired milk is bullshit. You're too old for me. I don't think they're too old for you, Stefan. I think that you're running a content house, and it's not that they're too old for you. You can't say that since they're younger than you are. I think you're looking for a specific model of a woman that the feeders are looking for. It's not that you're too old, that they're too old for you. Maybe they're just too old for the feeder group that you're catering to. They're looking for and they're asking for a woman between this age and that age. They're looking for a certain weight requirement. So you're keeping that in mind while you're running this content house. You want as many women as you can possibly get in that house, but every single one of them is for that target audience. And if you've got big baller feeders coming to you and saying, well, this person, they're getting a bit too old and a bit too sick, toss her out. I'm sure you're listening. It's all about making them happy and making that money.
Is fully taking advantage of these young people because that's what he needs to fit his preference. And he has built his platform on TikTok to target that younger audience because it's a much younger demographic that exists in these spaces, especially on TikTok. We have always talked about that. There will always be a revolving door of people getting into body positivity and finding communities like this because young people are going to continue to experience that. And I do think the documentary tried to do a good job of saying, this is why we shouldn't shame plus size people and target them the way that we do on social media. And I have to say, with that part, I agree, right? People should be treated with basic dignity and respect.
Right.
The internet is kind of a hard place to get that. We should also be teaching that to people. We shouldn't be seeking this external validation. And that's really hard when you're young. External validation is like the most important thing in the world when you're young. But we need to start teaching our young people that they don't need to look like what they're seeing on social media, that there are people that care about them and love them unconditionally. Those are messages that are truly important to keep people from falling into a space like this. And that's all I'm ever trying to do here. I know playing the YouTube game sometimes makes it probably feel like I'm just another jerk on the internet who is super fat phobic and thinks that all fat people should be made fun of. But the truth is, I was a plus size person. At my heaviest weight, I weighed nearly 400 pounds.
Wow.
It's a lot to deal with. And the world can be a cruel place, but that doesn't mean that we should just let ourselves fall into communities like this, because that is just settling for less than they deserve.
Yeah, I understand the whole idea of body positive. I get it, because whoever you are out there, you should love your body and take care of your body, no matter the size of the body. Sam is right. The internet can be a very cruel place with a lot of cruel people. There's just some nasty individuals running around, just leaving nasty comments for no random reason when they don't have to. When you look at a person, you don't know their story. You don't know what they've been through. You don't know what they're going through. You don't know if they've been through some kind of trauma, or perhaps they had a serious accident or misfortune that caused them to be severely overweight. You won't know what that story is until you sit down and you ask the right questions. And a lot of times people don't sit down and ask the right questions. They judge based on appearance. They say, oh, this person is really thin or really fat, and maybe they're starving themselves, or maybe they're just a glutton. You don't know that person. And I wish that the world had more compassion and empathy and understanding and patience to find out before they pass judgment. Often people pass judgment without finding out all the facts and doing the homework and doing the research. They just want to judge. But I think Stefan, he's using the whole idea of body positive to exploit people and use people for a means to an end. And the end is to make money for him and get attention for him. That house, it's not about the women, even though there are women there and they are being featured. Honestly, it's about him. It's all centered around him. Him getting the most benefit, him getting his fetish fulfilled, the women getting attention for him, making money for him. It's all about him. Those women feeding all of his needs, his need for ego, his need for attention, his need for success, his need for money. They are there to suffice his needs. He's structuring it as, I'm here for you, but honestly, they are there to benefit him. And if they don't benefit him, then they get kicked out. It's all structured for his benefit the most, not theirs.
It's letting them settle for someone who's taking advantage of them. And speaking of that, at the end of this episode, they actually once again feature Stefan saying, I've already made my money. I don't do TikTok for the financial reasons. I'm not in it for the finances at all. But if that were true, why are there so many women talking about him introducing them to the feeder and feederism community in order to make money?
Yeah, exactly. So he's supposed to be a millionaire. He designed a part, which he then sold to the auto industry, which he made tons of money. So if you're in a position where you've made your money off an invention that you created, you've already made money hand over fist, why exploit the women? Why introduce them to the feeder community? Why have these social media accounts which can be monetized? Why tell them about Phoebe? Why encourage them to go on Phoebe and make accounts and do content and pictures for the purpose of them making money to pay for their own food? If you're so doggone rich, Stefan, why are you farming these women out so hard as soon as they walk in? If you love them so much, why aren't you taking care of them? Why are they taking care of you? Why are you putting them to work, acting as not only employees for your business, but also using them as free maid service? Why are you working them like workhorses?
Why has he always promoted the fact that he gains followers from them and they gain followers from him? If that were true, why was he posting about how many subscribers Angel had gotten while she lived at the house? And again, that's part of the problem. Liars are going to lie, but it never adds up. The story never makes sense, because if he wasn't in it for financial reasons, he wouldn't be so distraught every single time he's got to start rebuilding his platform because he inevitably does something stupid on his platform. He has had so many platforms deleted or banned from TikTok for doing heinous things and saying heinous things and being reported. But he wouldn't get so distraught if he wasn't in it for financial gain.
True.
And if he didn't need that follower count to keep his revolving door of people coming into his house.
And here's a point for me. If it were just him on social media, if it were, say, on Twitter, which, by the way, guys, did you guys know you can monetize your Twitter account? I had a friend, I'm not going to say who it is, that they were approached by Twitter to monetize their Twitter account. You can actually get monetized on Twitter. If you were on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, those are all YouTube. You can monetize every single one of those accounts. If it were just him, if there was no Paradise House at all, if there weren't the live feeds, if there wasn't the adult content, if there wasn't the pictures and videos of these women, it was just him alone, would anybody pay attention to this fucker? Would anybody subscribe? Would anybody watch his live feeds? Watch the interviews? If the women were completely taken out of the equation and it were just him, would anybody pay him any mind? I don't think so. It's because of the women that he gets attention. That's why he features them so heavily. He's not getting attention on his own, doing his own thing. He's surrounding himself with the women because the women help him get attention and help him grow his social media accounts and therefore make him money. They are there to make him money in whatever way he can think of to help him make money. He's sponging off of them. They don't need him. He needs them because without them, who the fuck is he? Why would anybody care? No one would care. He would just be another rich guy that nobody gives a fuck about.
In episode 3, they again revisit Cass's story, talking about her passing. And again, it's just so heartbreaking because a few of them mention that because of her passing, she never actually got to escape Paradise, even though she had been trying to do so. She had fully moved out of the house, was on her way, but ended up falling back into a pattern and a routine where she was still talking to Stefan, even though she had moved out. They do talk as well about the way she felt like she probably found freedom, especially financial freedom in feederism, but how that was also a false freedom.
I really hate the feeder fetish. I understand these women want to make money. They want someone to pay attention to them. They want to feel like they belong somewhere, but the feeder fetish ain't it. Because it involves self-harm content. You're hurting yourself. You're hurting your body, indulging in this fetish, whether it's for money or not. I don't think he's that wealthy. I don't know how much money he has, but he did have money. I don't know if he still has money, but that's the picture that he's painting for other people. Yeah, the feeder thing is wacky and creepy as hell, and it's dangerous. The feeder fetish is dangerous because the deeper you go into it, the more food you eat, the more health problems you're bringing onto yourself. And there's also that dangerous level of death fat feederism, where you literally got people around you encouraging you to gorge yourself to make yourself sick for their entertainment. Once it reaches that level, how do you get out?
And then there's Stefan taking no accountability at all, saying he had no idea that Cass was making feederism content or doing those things.
He's a lying piece of shit. She was making that content at the Pearadise house. Oh, I have no idea she was doing that. You're a liar, sir.
Or that she was going to continue to gain weight after she moved out of his house. They even have clips of him tearless crying because of course they do.
She had been a big part of my life. The whole Paradise circle, everybody loved her.
So let me get this straight, Stefan. You claim that you love these women. You care about these women. They live in your house. You spend personal time with these women. And here is this absolutely gorgeous woman that live with you. You have personal contact on a daily basis with this woman. And she passes away way too early. And you can't even cry over her. No tears? None? Absolutely none. I care about her so much, but I can't even cry over her. I hope that the other women in the house saw that part and it made them think, here is this wonderful woman who passed away. that loved him, and he can't even cry over her. Can't even shed one fucking tear. And if he's this way with her, what about me? If something happened to me, would he be sad? Would he grieve? Would he mourn? Probably not. If Cass loved him so much and he can't even cry over her passing, that means he really doesn't care. He doesn't care for anybody. Yeah, just like how Foodie loves her cats. So you cared about this person, even if you're not in a romantic relationship with this person, even just friendship level, you can't cry over your friend passing. It's not going to break your heart at all. Like you can see, he's trying to cry. He just can't do it. He doesn't feel enough to cry over her. I don't even see any tears welling up in those eyes. He's trying to put on the appearance of like, I am so sad. You're full of shit. You are so full of shit.
We miss her.
But it's quite gross because we know that Stefan introduces these women to Phoebe and to feederism. We know that that's taking place. And even worse, after they get done talking about this, there's another story shared about how one of his friends, I'm going to let you guess who you think that is because they don't name them, but I have a guess who I think it is, sent out a shotgun message on Tinder and told Stefan and other people that they were doing this because they wanted someone to hook up with, but they wanted to go ahead and say, hey, there's tons of ladies at this house who want to hook up. And then they told the rest of the girls, well, I'm going to pick the guy I want, and then you can do what you want with the rest.
That is just gross and dangerous. So somebody in the house says it's a good idea. I'm going to go on Tinder of all places. And Tinder is a place of strangers. You can't verify who these people are, what they're like. And they're just going to invite a whole bunch of strangers to this house where there are women to just run around the mansion and do whatever. And that's perfectly fine. Even though there are women living in this house and they should feel safe living in this house, while you're living in this house, somebody in the house or connected to the house can say, hey, this is a party pad. Come on and hang out. We'll get in the hot tub. The message that they're saying to other people is there are women there that want it. Come have your way with them. How fucking gross are you that you're going to do that? Advertising these women as being free and easy when they're not. Just come on over. Do whatever you want to these women. I would not feel safe living there. No.
And that ended up creating a scenario where there were strangers in the house that they didn't know. One of the women was assaulted, and then they didn't know who that person was.
Yeah, and where was Stefan when all of this was going down? Where was he? Why was he not there? Why wouldn't there be rules at the house of like no strangers at the house while I'm not here? This is my house. I know you guys live here, but I am not comfortable with strangers showing up without supervision. I don't know who these people are. I can't vet if they're safe or not. Why is there no house rule of like no unwanted visitors? I'm doing this for my safety and your safety. No unwanted visitors here. Where the hell was he? Where was he at? He's always there. He's always filming. He's got security cameras, which, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you have security cameras, aren't there security cameras that can hook to your phone? Aren't there apps for that? That if you have a security system, you can pull that up on your iPad or your phone and you can see what's going on. Does he not have that installed on his phone or an iPad where he can keep an eye on things? Why not keep an eye on things? Isn't this an HOA housing community? I don't know. Yeah, so Bella, your home security has a system like that. How did he not know that there were men running all over that house? You could look at that footage and go, who is this person? That's not one of the girls that live in the house. Who is this guy? I don't know this person. Make a phone call to somebody there. What's going on? I'm looking on my camera right now, and I'm seeing strangers running all over my house. What's up? You better get them the hell out of there. I'm coming home right now. Where was he? Why was there not an immediate alert of like, get these people out of my house? Why was that allowed?
So Stefan has marketed to them a safe space and then allowed his friend to come in and create an unsafe environment.
Right.
Because this had happened to her. She went to Stefan and told him about it. And he just said, well, I'm sorry, but I don't know who that person was. I don't know their name. So there's no way to report it. That is not a safe.
You know what? Bullshit. Bullshit. There are security cameras in that house. Most security cameras, the footage is being recorded. If there are cameras all over that house, can they not take the footage to the police and do face recognition or something like that to figure out who these people are? Can they not run it through some software to kind of see who this person might be? I mean, we're in the modern age, are we not? Law enforcement, they often use security cameras and access footage to find suspects. So since he's got security cameras rolling 24/7, can we not see who these people are? Is there not recorded footage? Can we not take that to the cops if an essay has occurred? Yeah, it stays in a cloud too, and police can run your security on digital forensics. Correct. So why not open up an investigation on someone who has hurt someone in your fucking house? You're just going to brush it off and shrug your shoulders and say, oh, that's it. I don't know who they are. I can't do anything. I think he could have given something to the police. He just didn't want any bad press for the house. Let's just sweep it under the rug and pretend it didn't happen. Fucking disgusting.
Safe space. And I'm going to tell you who I think the friend probably was. And this is my opinion, but I'm going to guess it was Rita. And a couple of people in my comment section on my last video asked me why I didn't cover her again. And I gotta be honest, I was trying not to recreate my original video because I think that it does stand on its own as well. But you're right, Rita is pretty important to this story because she has been a long-time friend of Stefan and has admitted via social media that she's brought hundreds of girls to Stefan's house.
That's scary. Hundreds. That is really scary. So she was basically the recruiter. That she helped bring hundreds of girls to the house. That's really scary to think about. Hundreds. And who knows what happened to those women? Who knows what they might have gone through, what experiences they might have had. Hundreds. Hundreds. And hearing the number hundreds, it makes me wonder, why were there so many? I mean, if you got a content house, why wouldn't you keep the same group of people? Why were there so many? What might have happened to cause hundreds of girls to come in and go out? That kind of feels like sex trafficking to me. Call me crazy, but that's what it sounds like. Like he's a trafficker, bringing girls in, pushing girls out, using them for content, filming them, videotaping them, taking pictures. That feels like sex trafficking to me. He should be in jail.
Rita, if there's anybody that can speak for like the vibes and the place and the party, it's Rita. Rita is in here. She said she's brought hundreds of people here.
Hi, Rita. She is also well known as serving as the face of his social media to defend him. And she has also made videos where there are random people in the...
And can I also say, Stefan, you are extremely revolting for bringing young children to your house with everything that goes on there. You really shouldn't have brought the mother of your children and your children on camera and exploiting them as a way to save your public image. You're a fucking asshole for that. So you went on record as saying that you do not claim your children. You have no contact with them, but you exploited them by showing them on your social media accounts. You didn't even blur out their faces. So let's exploit the children, but not claim the children, fucker. Let me use my own kids to promote this image of I'm not a bad guy. And on the back end, let's not claim them. Let's not have any contact with them. You're an asshole. You are such an asshole.
Background that she's talking to. She is a gross character in this entire story. And when they were talking about that, and a person who told Stefan they were just going to send out this shotgun message, again, in my opinion, the person who popped into my brain was Rita. Because who else has been around long enough to have the audacity to do that? This is where they start to cut back to Cece's story and the fact that when Stefan found out that Cece was pregnant, he apparently made some jokes in the house about getting some of the other girls to pretend they were pregnant to go and get Plan B so that he could crush it up and put it in a drink of Cece's.
Let that sink in. How diabolical is that? That you're going to go to the women in the house, some of them, and say, pretend to be pregnant to get Plan B pills, which will cause a woman to perhaps miscarry. If a woman is already pregnant, you're going to ask women in the house to pretend to be pregnant to go get Plan B pills, and then the plan is to crush up the pills and put it in somebody's drink so that they potentially miscarry. That is fucked up. That is really, really, really fucked up. To even have that idea and think about executing that idea. That is fucked up. That's so fucked up. Thank you, Leaky. He's too fucking stupid to know that Plan B doesn't work if you're already pregnant. You know, I don't know if you do take the Plan B, if you're already pregnant, if that could cause some kind of harm to the unborn fetus, the unborn baby. I don't know if that would be good for the baby, but that's just horrible. And I could think of several things that I'd like to do to Stefan in Minecraft if given the opportunity, just hearing that kind of shit.
He, of course, says, no, that was just an inside joke with friends. But then immediately follows that up to say,
I have to live with the fact that there's 2 kids that were conceived against my consent.
If you were physical with that woman, and if you did not use protection, then you know there's a chance of pregnancy. And if you're someone and you're in a house full of women, and if you are having relations with multiple women, and you've not had a vasectomy, there's a high chance of pregnancy, sir. Go get snipped.
It's nothing you can do as a man.
And I have to tell you, when he said that, I I fully had to stop watching for like 30 minutes. This man having the audacity to sit down and say that those twins were conceived without his consent based upon Cece's allegations was truly disturbing. And once again, validated my hatred for him as a human being. Because what do you mean that you felt comfortable and confident to say that on camera, knowing that it was going into a documentary about how you don't get consent, Stefan? Like, I'm going to just move on because it makes me so incredibly angry. Then they cut to another story about Rissa, who currently lives in the house and is a Stefan supporter. And what's interesting to me about this moment is previously we have talked about Stefan and issues talking to minors. He has been known to message them, complimenting them on their hips, telling them not to let anyone dull their shine, talking to them about adding them to his Discord before he changed the rules and made it so that they had to be 18. When they talk about Rissa with him and someone comments that she was 19, this is what he has to say. He says immediately when he first met her, she had this innocence about her. If that did not make your skin crawl,
it makes my skin crawl. Whew. You know what it sounds like? It sounds like if you are someone that he lets into the house, he makes sure that you are of legal age. He's looking for a certain look, a certain age. But yeah, thank you, Sin Eater. My thoughts exactly. Disgusting prick. Say it again. Disgusting prick. But it sounds like even before he lets you into the house, he's searching out women who are extremely young, and he's grooming them and conditioning them for potentially bringing them into the house later when they're legal. That's what it sounds like to me. Like, not only am I seeking out women of a certain age, but I'm also seeking out women that are not quite legal age, and I'm going to get the conditioning and the grooming done early. Like, I'm going to start talking to them and giving them compliments and love bombing them and getting them all set up and conditioned and groomed for when I bring them in the house. Like, I am just, I'm putting you in the queue. I can't bring you in the house right now, but I am going to start working on you right now for when I do bring you in. And that way, when you come into the house, I've already molded you into what I want you to be and what I want you to do. And you will accept it. You'll think it's perfectly normal, and you will just accept it, and you'll worship me as a god almost. It's so fucking sick.
I can't with that because he is commenting on their innocence, the way they are young and naive. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. And it's so frustrating because he has also told minors in messages that they're just mature for their age.
Wow. So this person says, is it dumb of me to be more inclined to talk to older men, especially knowing that if they're talking to me, it's probably that they are immature? He replies with, actually, I wouldn't even see it that way. It could also be seen positive for you. If an older guy talks to you or takes interest in you, that could also mean that you're very mature for your age and have your shit together. I tend to see these things from a positive side. Or I don't know who this woman is. If an older man is talking to you and you're a young, impressionable woman, he might be targeting you because you're young and you're vulnerable. There's a reason I feel that Stefan talks to these younger women, because I'm sorry, if you're older, more times than not, you can talk circles around somebody who's younger, who doesn't have as much life experience or maturity. He's a pimp. He is. He's a fucking pimp. That's what he does, and that's what he is. He's a pimp. And pimps are always looking for the easy targets. someone who might be vulnerable, someone who might be immature, insecure, needing something. They walk up to you and they charm you to death. They act like you're your friend or your big brother or your father figure. They figure out what you need and then they give it to you. And because you're in a vulnerable moment, you feel a sense of loyalty and love for this person because you think they actually care when they don't. They don't care about you. They care about what you give them and what you will provide for them. So what they're giving to you, they're not giving to you for free. It may seem that way, but later on, the bill comes due and they make you pay. And then once they're done with you, they discard you. You're trash. They throw you away. And then you figure out they really didn't love you at all. But if he's over there talking to younger women, it's because they're more vulnerable. They're more naive, and he knows it. He knows what to say and how to say it. And he does say it. And he gets them to do whatever it is he wants them to do. Yeah, he wants women who are very malleable. Like they are wet pieces of clay. He can just mold them into what he wants. That's what he's looking for. That's why he does not want older women in the house. He can't sell them. He can't market them. And most older women know who they are and they won't be pushed around.
Who says that if not a predator? I'll wait. Who else would say that? And now, by this point in the documentary, in the third episode, Stefan has got to be feeling like all his shit has been put on blast, right? And it's going to keep getting worse. Just you wait. But this is where we get to the point where someone else has really undone their social media presence and told on themselves. And that is Xiomara the Dreamer. This is where they start to get into Zio's story. The fact that she was staying at Pearadise. The fact that they called the ambulance for her because her blood oxygen was so low. She was admitted to the hospital, had to be intubated and put in a coma, that people didn't know if she was going to survive. Then they get to an interview that they did with Zio. And this is where her entire story starts to fall apart. She sat down in that facility that she's in, which she calls a rehab facility. I'm seeing rumors online that it's not a rehab facility, but might be a nursing home. Interesting. I can't validate. She says rehab.
Okay, this is where I have the question. If Zio is claiming it's a rehab facility, and if her addiction is to food or her problem is for food, why would this rehab facility be okay with her eating fast food inside of the facility? If it's a true rehab facility, if it's inpatient for, let's just say, food issues, why would it be allowed for her to eat fast food inside the facility? Why would that not be called out and stopped? Stefan brought her food. So if it was a rehab facility, why does she have all these health problems and yet she can eat fast food there? Some nursing homes have a rehab wing. Okay, great information to know. But if she's in rehab, how can she rehab if she's continuing to get worse and she just can't seem to get out because she's staying sick? Rehab means you're on the path to healing. And obviously she's not healing that much if she's continuing to overeat.
So that's always what I've said. But in this moment, you see her saying that she'll always defend Stefan because she didn't go to Pearadise to get fat. She went there because she was already fat. And then she says that she was already eating online. So it's not a big deal and it's not Stefan's fault.
You know, I don't really follow Zio that closely. I've heard things about her. I did hear, maybe I'm wrong, and if I'm wrong, correct me. Was she in a situation where she was homeless or about to be homeless, and then she moved into Stefan's house? If I'm wrong about that information, please correct me. But I did hear that about Zio, that she was facing a situation of homelessness when she was talking to Stefan, and Stefan took her in. If that is the case, if she was looking at a situation of, I'm about to be homeless or I am homeless, and she went to Stefan, in my opinion, she was in survival mode. She just wanted a place to live, and that was the environment that was going on, and she just went with it because, she didn't have a home.
But again, there are two things that are about to happen. We know, because we've been covering this for a long time, that she posted her first ever feederism content video, which she made while she was at Pearadise, and she self-admitted that. And then in this interview, she's going to go ahead and continue on to say that this house was a whole new world, and it showed her the world of feederism. And she talks in depth about filming feeder videos at that house, doing in-person feeding sessions. So how dare Stefan come on these platforms and say repeatedly, there's no feeding happening at my house? Because that's very clearly not the truth. You can tell in this moment, Zio is telling the truth. And you want to know what? Even though I knew that, I wanted to see what her reaction was. Because Zio has this interesting way of using TikTok lives to hide everything, because TikTok lives aren't made publicly available. So people feel like they can just go on and say whatever they want or do whatever they want. And then once they stop the TikTok live, there's no evidence of it. And they bank on that. But the problem is Zio has garnered a following. So people are now screen capturing that. And I'm going to go ahead and credit the subreddit for Ziomara the Dreamer, because they captured her reacting to herself in this documentary.
I will always defend her. So you told me how I have to have it. That's so better.
And she is having a full-on crash out. She is losing her mind because she's realizing in the moment she has said too much. And she has undone the facade that she's built on her platforms. Because the first time I ever talked about Zio...
Yeah, and I agree with that line that just passed through. Hold on, we're going to go back to Zio for a minute.
So you told me how I have to have it. That's so better.
And she is having a full-on crash out. She is losing her mind because she's realizing in the moment she has said too much. And she has undone the facade that she's built on her platforms.
And this part, potentially to protect someone who is using and hurting her. So I didn't see the crash out happen. I heard about it. Some of you told me about it, that she was on live and she was crying. I didn't know why. I was just focused on finding a way to watch the docuseries, like looking around different Discords, and the one Discord I went into, it was full. And then I found that I can do it on Discovery Plus. But I did hear about the crash out from Zio. So I think in this moment where she was melting down, part of the reason why she was melting down was she was worried and stressed out and sad because she's thinking, I've said too much. I don't know how that's going to affect my relationship with Stefan. He's going to be angry with me. He might be screaming at me. She was worried about that. It wasn't about her watching the docuseries and thinking, I'm having an eye-opening moment and I'm having a breakthrough for myself. It was about, oh my God, what is Stefan going to think? Is he going to be angry with me? Is he going to yell at me? Is he going to just push me out? And I'll never be able to call upon him for help. Like, he's got those women so conditioned and so groomed that they're worried about his approval or disapproval. Awful.
The first time I ever talked about Zio, I talked about the fact that she seemed like such a sweet soul, a person who was just looking to find her way. And I gave her credit where credit was due. She had been losing weight in that facility. And now here we are. And she is fully 100% with her full chest said, I've been eating more food because feeders are paying me to do it.
Bam. And this comment here, Stefan even told her she can come back to the house. Well, I think one of the conditions about coming back to the house, or if you potentially can come back into the house, is you have to show solidarity and loyalty by backing him up, by being his human shield, that if there's any criticism coming in, you are able to act as a human shield for that criticism. You're supposed to be there to not only do content, but boost up his public image. And so that's why she and a few other people have been defending him. Even when I'm sure they know on the inside he's fucked up and what he's doing to them is fucked up, they still defend him. He has cult-like behavior. But there is feederism going on in that house, and he's marketing them in that way. He's not encouraging them to do regular adult content. It's very specialized, niche content. I mean, you saw in the beginning of this video, as soon as you walk in the house, he's introducing you to Phoebe and encouraging you to have an account on Phoebe so you can buy your own food. He's not even providing the food. You're expected to buy your own groceries. You can live here, but everything else you're responsible for. I'm not paying for anything. You're basically paying for yourself. All I'm giving you is a set of walls around you, and the rest you provide for. So you better get to work. You better get on Phoebe. You better get on live and make that money for me, because you're paying for me and yourself.
And you know what's even more disturbing? When I found that subreddit, I also found that not only is she paying for them to do feeding content while she's in that facility, they're also going there in person to do squashing sessions.
Wow. In the facility? You're doing adult content in the facility? Oh my God. So these feeders are giving her money to eat in the facility, but they're visiting her there? It's not even in your own house or your own apartment, your own room. They're going to the facility and they're doing adult content in the facility. What the fuck? Oh, hell no.
We're supposed to meet up, okay? He's supposed to come for a squashing session. Yes, in rehab. Yes, on my hospital bed.
And the most disgusting part of her entire thing for me,
I mean, look, I don't know how, I've never been in a facility like that, but that should not be the place that stuff is happening. That should not be the place for that to be happening. That is a care facility that features other people. Should they be anywhere in the vicinity of that happening? No. Hell no. No, no, no. That is not a place where you should be filming adult content and encouraging other people to come and do stuff like that. No, 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 no.
is when she compared herself to Cass and talked about how Stefan must have looked at her the way he looked at Cass. The way in her interview she felt kind of giddy about it was really disturbing. And then watching her reaction to it, where she's fully breaking down, I think she realizes in this moment what she's done.
I think I remind him of Cass a little. It's like he would see her or something.
And you know what, Zio, if you were having a moment where you thought, oh, he's looking at me the same way he used to look at Cass, God rest her soul. Think about the way he treated her. That she was a beautiful young woman. And then on her fucking birthday, he looked at her and said, you're too old for me. So are you sure you want this man looking at you the same way that he looked at Cass? As beautiful and wonderful as she was. And that's the way he treated her. Are you sure you want that comparison? The fact that there have been hundreds of women that passed in and out of those doors tells me a lot. Like something's going on with that. That many people passing in and out of those doors that there is a constant revolving door of women. It's not the same group of women, it's hundreds. And then dear Cass, despite all of her love and loyalty and hard work, he tossed her out. And you don't think you're the next in line? That he wouldn't just have you at the house and use you and make money off of you until you became too sick and too old to work? That he wouldn't just abandon you? If he did it to Cass, he will do it to you, and he'll do it to anybody else that walks through there. He will use you until he can't use you anymore, and then you're gone. He don't want to know you. Don't want to know your number. Don't want to talk about you. And this is the one you're defending. This is the one that you're taken up for. This is the one that you're wanting the affections of.
And he was like, Zio, this is not your world.
And I have to tell you, I was truly disturbed by the way that Zio was talking about Cass, knowing, again, that she has said that this person was her friend and that she fully knows this person has passed away.
Yeah.
It was very disturbing. And again, what I find interesting is Zio has continued to put out content post the documentary, and you can tell that it is really affecting her.
I know that this is going to be the talk of my town. I know that the staff is going to talk about it here. I know that my friends are going to talk about it. People that hate me are going to talk about it. I know that people on YouTube are going to talk about it.
Ma'am, I got a big problem with you with the squashing sessions inside the facility. I'm still angry about that. What the fuck is wrong with you, Zio? It's one thing you're doing all the feeder content on social media, but encouraging these fucking feeder freaks to walk up in there and you're doing squashing sessions inside of a medical fucking facility. What is wrong with you? That you're doing this in-person shit. You're not doing it out of a private residence or a room where there's no one else around. You're doing it inside of a medical facility where there is staff, there are nurses, there are doctors, there are other fucking patients. That is so disrespectful, and it is so wrong. That is some fucked up behavior. What does squashing mean? It's something that those with a feeder fetish can do, where people are basically sitting on you. So somebody comes in and they get squashed. Like somebody lays down or they sit down and somebody just sits on them or lays on them. That's squashing. And she's doing this inside of a medical facility where there are people around. I'm sure there are other rooms there, other wings there. You're doing some fetish content inside of a medical facility for patients. I'm sorry, I'm screaming. I'm just like, that blew my mind. Are you for real? You're doing stuff online and in person. This, where you're at is not the fucking Pearadise house, Zio. There's a medical facility with other people. Other people are around. They should not be exposed to the feeder clients. Ma'am.
I don't feel okay.
But my thing is, she put herself in this situation. she was overly excited to share this information with this documentary group. And I don't know if it's because Stefan coerced her to do it, because she has said that she felt misguided, but then she's also been promoting it. Zio moves in very weird ways on the internet. And right now I am...
Hold on a second. You know what? It's crazy that the doctors and nurses are just letting her. In their defense, they may not know. The doctors and nurses are not there around all the time. They may be completely unaware this is happening. So let's keep that in mind. She may be keeping that on the quiet, or she was, and they had no idea that this is happening in her room. She might have people visiting and she's saying, these are just visitors. They're just coming to see me and spend time with me and like sit by my bed and talk to me. And then when the doors close, the doctors and nurses and staff have no idea this is happening underneath their nose. And you know what, Zio? I'm just going to fucking say it. If you are misusing and abusing the facilities, and you're doing this kind of activity in that facility, you really shouldn't be there. You want to do that kind of shit, you go somewhere else. You don't do that inside the facility. Doing adult content in a medical facility, that is just absolutely fucking wrong. You don't do that. You do not do that. That's not what it's for. You're doing in-call visits with people? No, ma'am.
Really trying to suss that out, but it is a lot, because you start to get the vibe that maybe she's not into that, maybe she's feeling taken advantage of, but then she's leaving these comments where she's 100% supporting Stefan and wanting to keep being positive about Pearadise. And it just leaves you feeling like...
You know what I think that is? I think Zio is trying to keep the door open in case she needs to go back to Pearadise. It's the same thing with Foodie. Foodie actually thinks she's got a chance in hell in being part of the Pearadise house. She doesn't have a chance in hell, but she's deluding herself, as she often does, to think, well, maybe if I show enough solidarity or loyalty, or if I talk up Stefan, if I need to go there, he'll let me come there. No, he won't. Get that idea out of your head, Foodie. You will never be invited to the Pearadise house. You will never be invited to live there. Truth be told, if you try to go there, even if Stefan let you in the door, you probably get your ass kicked. The other women there would not put up with all of you. You get kicked out within 24 hours. They would not put up with your bullshit. They would go to Stefan and they would riot and say, get this bitch out of here. She is so not for this house. Get her out of here. That situation would not last for long. You don't know how to get along with other women. You do not support other women. Truth be told, you hate other women, especially women that you feel are competition for you, which you always feel that way. And other women in the house, live streaming, making content, getting attention would be competition for you. You would have to take a shower every day. You would have to cook and clean every day. You'd be working for Stefan. You'd be such a brat. They would not put up with you. But Zio, she's been in the house before. And I don't know what her financial situation is. I don't know what her home situation is. But she might be keeping the door open just in case she needs to go back there. Although, in my opinion, I feel she's got one strike already against her. She's already gotten sick in that house, and her health is not good. So Stefan might be thinking about that too, like, oh, she's already gotten sick once. What if it happens again? He considers the health of the girls that stay there.
You don't really know what's up and what's down, and it appears Zio doesn't either. All we do know is after this, all of the people who were following her and really hoping that she was going somewhere on her health journey, I hope those people have had the veil lifted at this point.
Yeah.
Because she is now just fully admitted for all of the world to see that she knows exactly what she's doing and she's not going to stop. And then in the final moments of this documentary, I gotta tell you, I felt more than validated, because in my video prior to the documentary dropping, I said, wouldn't it be crazy if they had a moment like the Jinx documentary where they get him on a hot mic saying something? Obviously, it won't be the same as the Jinx. He's not going to be admitting that he murdered someone. But wouldn't that be wild? And then at the end of this documentary, right when he thinks they're wrapped up telling his story, you catch him saying this.
I've never made any unprovoked content about anybody unless it was me defending myself. You know, the whole pork chop ass situation is like, there was plenty of people that immediately contacted me and said, like, you know, why did this bitch even take a sit off in your living room? Like, who does she think she is? And I couldn't go out on TikTok and say, like, oh, because she was a slopping whore at my house.
This is the way he's talking about people that were in his house. This was the hot mic moment where he was done with the interview. He got up out of the chair and immediately started to run his mouth. He wasn't done. He didn't even make sure, are all the mics are off? Are the cameras off? He just started running off at the mouth, going off. He was completely calm throughout his interview. And then when the interview is supposed to be over, he's going off.
She was just taking her shit off in my living room. Like, that would have been the appropriate reaction to that, but I didn't. I just kept quiet. I deleted the video, and then I took it completely down and said, you know what, it's not even worth it.
This is just more proof how little he actually cares for women in general. Because what do you mean that he's just a-okay calling them bitches and whores? Like, that is not okay. And it was so derogatory. And then it just kept getting worse. Because even later, he's standing and talking to the female director, the female producer, and he's talking about his story and how he doesn't want it to just look like TikTok drama. And he had the audacity to say to her,
At the end of the day, what you're looking at is like a bunch of bitter bitches that didn't get what they want. To the uneducated TV viewer, this whole thing is just gonna look like, oh, this is like some TikTok drama. Like, there's some bitches that went to that guy's house and then they tried to cancel him.
if you thought there was anything for this man to redeem, I mean, he sat and did that entire interview and tried so hard to make himself look meek and mild and innocent and, ooh, I just didn't know what I was doing and I didn't know I was making people uncomfortable, to turn around and show us exactly how he truly feels.
And I want to add this point in. He made a point to go to the female director. She didn't go to him and say, well, I have questions. Can we do like a second interview? She didn't go to Stefan and say, let's sit down. There's other stuff that I want to talk to you about. He approached her unprovoked. He got out of his chair and he approached the director and just kept talking. The director did not approach him. He approached her and just went off. Where was all this big mouth energy during the interview? He was a completely different person during the interview. But the moment the interview is over, he's not done talking. And he's talking in a much different tone, using a lot different language, calling the women bitches and whores and sluts. This is the way you really feel about the women you invite to your house, Stefan. You don't hold them up as women. You don't see them as body positive. These are not women that you love. This is how you really feel. And I'm so glad they captured that and they put that in the docuseries.
Much like Zio, that facade, that veil lifted, mask completely off. That is how that man truly feels about the women in his life. And we know that this is how he feels about them because remember when Shay passed away, his supposed best friend? He had the audacity to say,
No, Juju, nobody died here. No, Shay passed away in the hospital.
This documentary, really, truly, I'm glad that it exists because hearing the women's stories from their own mouths was incredibly important. It's something that up until this moment, we have not had in this way. And what's most interesting is seeing them coming together and talking about seeing each other really, truly for the first time without Stefan's control over them. getting to see the fact that they are moving past this, that they are growing, that they are being able to overcome their trauma and to heal from their trauma of this place. And Stefan isn't. He is projecting when he calls them bitter bitches, because the only one who's hung up on this story and defensive and wanting to clear his name is him. And I think the only thing that's truly missing for me from this entire thing is the fact that these women could probably be so powerful. A lot of this hinges on Nevada saying that SA doesn't count as SA unless there's penetration. I would love to see them band together to try to change that, to try to make it so that people like Stefan can't move to Nevada and take advantage of people in this way.
Yeah, well, he's already broken the law. We all know this. He confessed it. He's confessed to breaking the law. You guys saw the video that I reacted to talking about how he had a woman come to his house, that she was going to turn a trick in a hotel room. And he convinced her, don't go to a hotel room. Don't pay a hotel for a room. Just do it here at my house. So he was confessing to an illegal act happening in his own house. And on top of that, he also said that he was supposed to get part of the money from her turning the trick. And he lives in Clark County, and that is highly illegal. So you are confessing to knowing about an act of prostitution in your house and accepting part of the money and getting pissed off because you were supposed to get a certain amount of money and you only got a smaller amount of money. That's illegal, Stefan. You were confessing to a crime happening in your house and accepting funds from said crime. And I feel that if you did that once, did it happen multiple times? Were you pimping out women? Were you encouraging them to turn tricks in your house? And essentially your house was a brothel in many different ways, and in every way you could possibly manage, online and also in person. I mean, you did let the feeders all up in your house for squashing sessions. What else were you allowing? What else was going on there? Was it sex? Was it fetishes? Was it a combination of both? What kind of activities were going on in the Pearadise house? Yeah, and he filmed it. But the audacity of him to say there's nothing going on here and yet confessing that there's plenty going on there. And I hope that the authorities look into him, that there's a full investigation into who this man is and what he's been allowing inside that house, and to all of the hurt that all the victims have suffered. Yep, I hope so too. I hope the FBI notices the documentary and starts an investigation ASAP. He needs to be under the prison. Yep. Under the jail.
I would have loved for them to get a little further into.
Okay, I hate to stop, Sam, but just a thought that came in my head. Let's think about Foodie Beauty. About the times when she had a complete, total meltdowns. When did they happen? When the truth was exposed. That's when she had the greatest meltdowns and the greatest rages, is when she was putting out this image and something came along and popped that bubble. Think about the rage that she had for FFG and BBJ. Ooh, that was a meltdown from hell. Why? Why did she melt down that way? Because she knew the worst of her evils was about to be exposed and there was nothing she could do about it. Yeah, that narc injury does hurt. Narcs hate to be injured, and when it happens, it's out of their control. They can't cover it up. They can't lie about it. They lose their shit. So Stefan has been having all kinds of little meltdowns and temper tantrums because the truth is out there now. He can't control it. He can't cover it up. Here are all these women who were victims of him coming forward and talking about their experiences, and he can't shut them up. He can't silence their voices. Yep, and when Nina left, she panicked. That was another narc injury. Oh, you're supposed to be a supporter, and you're going to take your money away? And that's when she snapped and said, I'm just here for 5 people. The rest of you can fuck off. She wasn't lying when she said that. She was saying that with her whole chest. She meant what she said. And then she tried to walk it back later saying, oh, I'm here for all of you. That's a crock of shit. She's only there for those that give her the most money. And the rest of you that are her audience, she don't care about you. Obviously, she doesn't care. She can even do great content as a thank you for all the many years that she's been on YouTube. And you guys provided her a nice lifestyle of her choosing where she could do what she wanted. But she always has had her meltdowns when her ego was fully exposed. And here, Stefan, this little side subplot interview, of which he wasn't being interviewed, he was just simply ranting, showing that the rage that he was bubbling up inside of him while this interview was going on, that was the real him.
TikTok and social media channels allowing people like Stefan to exist and use their platforms to take advantage of people. But that didn't happen. What they did end up showing, though, was the real true growth of these women and how beautiful they are as human beings and how beautiful it was for them to come together and really support one another. I felt like it did all the things and still simultaneously let me down in some ways. But I have to say, I was worried that this was going to be nothing more than passive entertainment. I don't think it was fully passive. I do think that it has...
This is almost over. I want to address this comment, lifestyle. Well, you know what, Mrs. Peel? The feeder addiction, the feeder fetish, that is her lifestyle, catering to it. That is a sort of lifestyle to her, like fully embracing hedonism, doing what she wants, living her life in excess, no restriction, no boundaries. That is her lifestyle. And she's made a living off of just going the distance that way. Addiction is her lifestyle. Catering to the feeder fetish is her lifestyle. And there are a lot of people that are funding that lifestyle and keeping it going and making it worse. So,
find a light in a very dark place, and that's a good start. But there's more that could be done here. All right, that is all I have for you all today. And at this point, I am so curious to know your opinions about all of this. Were you watching all the things unfold before the documentary? Did you watch the documentary itself? And what do you think? Is there anything that you feel like I missed that you found important? Were there things that I talked about that you hadn't thought about? I really hope you'll share your opinions with me in the comment section down below. And for all my internet friends out there who may not feel comfortable leaving your opinions in an internet comment section, I see you. Go ahead this week and leave me an emoji of your choice, just letting me know how you feel about all of this. I gotta say, I was somewhere between like sad and angry and frustrated while I watched this because truly the stories are so sad. I'm glad that the women are able to overcome, but my God, is this human being frustrated? I hate his guts. And that's why probably the angry face would be the first one that I would leave for you. If you enjoyed being here with me this week for this video, please know that this is what I am typically doing on the internet when I say I'm dissecting nonsense. I hope that if you liked the video today, you'll consider liking it. That helps me reach more people just like you. But also, if you're not already, I hope you'll consider subscribing because that helps the channel grow and lets me know that you want to join us over here in our little corner of the internet. And I would love to have you. As always, thank you all so much for being here with me today. I will see you in the next one. Bye.
What a wonderful, informative video from Samateverysize. I am subscribed to the channel. I really enjoy Sam's content. I just put the link for the video in the chat. So you guys, please subscribe up to Samateverysize and leave maybe a nice comment for her on her video and just tell her how much we all appreciate her just doing these very informative educational, insightful videos. Like she always has very wonderful things to say, and her videos are always so precise and well done. To answer your question, Enos, do you think foodie is in the death fat part of the feeding cycle? Absolutely. That's the category that she has moved herself into. She's not just a regular feeder model. She's in the extreme death fat part of that niche. That is who is giving her money now, and that is who she's catering to. Because the death fat feeders, they really don't care about someone looking their best or having a lot of energy. The death fat feeders are all about, I want you to look like you're on death's door. The sicker you are, the less mobile you are, the more we like it. She's definitely in death fat feeder category. She's right there. And those are the ones that are giving her money over there. Those are the ones buying her food. I think they're pushing her closer to being in a hospital or perhaps in a casket. That's what they want. They are buddy trolling her with requests and with PayPal donations. So I did hear that CC Suarez posted a video about foodie. I think it's a really, really long one. Let me go look. I think it's a really, really long video. Let me just go check out real quick. Is it? Let me just see. It's an hour, 52 minutes. That's a bit too long for a live stream today to react to it. Maybe I'll save that for tomorrow or something. I don't know. It's 2 hours though, Inferno. This live stream has already been going on for 3 hours. I don't know if we can get through something that quickly. It's like a 2-hour video. It's not short at all. It's not even an hour. It's like 2 hours, which would probably take me about 4 hours to do. I'll be here till 6 p.m. So I may say that for another day. Just split it up to where it's not so much all day long. I know you make longer videos than that, but I don't know if people want to be here for another 4 hours. You know what? I'm going to cut it off here. As I said, I've got to work today. I've got other stuff that I have to do. I just want to sit down and react to Samateverysize. I think we'll just cut it here, and we'll do the part 2 of Mr. Snowflake another day, Leaky. But I thank you guys for coming here. I'm going to go get something to eat and get a meal. And then I've got other work that I have to attend to. But you guys have been fabulous. And perhaps I'll see you tomorrow. So don't forget to like and subscribe. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to Samateverysize and let them know that you appreciate the video. So y'all take care and have a good one. Bye.